Sami, I'm a ride or die like Clyde and Bonnie. If they ripping the same chain I'm wearing on me, best believe we in Jeeps, homie. Fuck the Jeeps, homie. Vegetarian soy boy beats coming. Friendship is not confirmed, don't speak on me. If you speak on me, VCs ain't the only one that's dumping. Say hello to my little friend. You can meet Tommy, you can meet Tommy, you can meet Tommy. About to catch your body, exes ain't coming. Like my exes need something. Like my exes need something. Fuck the SEC and the corruption. Trying to stop my bag, trying to stop me making something. But say good deal hunting. Just want you to meet one of my good friends.
You already know who it is, sexy PulseChain, babe. Fuck a TA and what the charts say. Fuck selling in May, DCA. You know to play. Mr. Milkman say, Daddy, Eve trade, make it rain, make it rain, make it rain. He's gonna get a pulse pumping. Haters heartbroken for dumping. What a sight to see while you're watching. You know the game, know the game. Buy low, make them gains. You know the chain, you know the chain, you know the chain. Say its name.
G'day everyone. Happy Friday afternoon here in Australia. I've got Dozza43 with me, and this is the Aussie Crypto Happy Hour. So, g'day guys, how are you?
Hey, g'day True Blue. How you going, buddy?
Hey True Blue. Hey Dozza. What's going on?
Hey 43, mate.
Yeah, cruising well. That video was awesome, Dozza. You threw that one up. Where did you dig that out of? That was brilliant.
I think it's the Pulse Tube guys. They make some funny stuff. So but yeah, we love Somi and KDP. She's a legend. Yeah. So
that had me laughing good. So yeah, that was bloody awesome. Good stuff. What's been happening this week with you guys?
Mate, I'm switching to Scotch. So this is instead of the beers, I figure I've nearly consumed 2 cartons of beer on stream now. And we've nearly hit
there we go.
48 episodes. So it's time to give it a blast with the Spice Weasel. So I've got some Glenmorangie here.
You beauty. So what is that? You got a carton of them, do you then?
Yeah. So when I get through 2 cartons of these, I'll be dead.
Oh, nice.
On the rocks or neat?
Yeah, I got the ice, mate. I don't mess around. I know a lot of people like it neat, but
where's the cigar?
Yeah, my brother's into cigars, but yeah, no. So cheers, gents, and cheers to the weekend.
Yep. Heck yeah. I did send the link out to Kool-Aid. He was on last week, so he might bring the cigar if he ends up coming on. Nice. But if he doesn't, that's cool as well. We should have plenty to talk about. But I noticed the Ethereum ETF launched this week.
Yeah.
Good for the market so far, but yeah, very interesting times. I've got to just very quickly, I'll throw this video.
I think that that it's done. I mean, a lot of people thought that it was going to pump the price of Ethereum.
Yeah.
But it's still early days. It's only just come out. So, let's see what happens over the course of the next few months. I think it's bullish for Ethereum. Common sense would say it's bullish for Ethereum, but in what time frame is it bullish? I think over the long term, it's more bullish, you know, over the long term.
That's fair.
Crypto short-term stuff, it's very, very difficult because everyone just thought it was going to be bullish immediately. And very rarely when everyone thinks the same thing in crypto, is that what eventuates.
Yeah, sure. That's right. Especially the second time around with anything, like, you know, the Bitcoin ETF, nobody knew if it was going to pump or not, and it you know, took off like a rocket. And then, yeah, everyone's just been buying up Ethereum knowing that Ethereum would be next. And yeah, it definitely wasn't the injection everyone thought. But, you know, I even think back to the PulseChain launch. You know, everyone was saying, oh, get on this PulseChain, you know, get your sacrifices in. The guy that made this, the last one, did a 10,000x. And it's like, you know, the second time around, yeah, it's going to take a lot longer to get it moving, I think, just because of the hype behind the first one. But I've got this video here from I just hijacked this from Matty Allen's stream.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just an ad for the ETF, which I thought was cool. I haven't really seen, you know, much in real crypto type advertising. But here it is.
Cool.
Let there be an open source network where money flows more transparently. Let there be transactions without resource-intensive mining activities. Let there be tech that can unchain. Your code is the key. Let Ether be. Enter the Ether with ETHV. You can now get Ether exposure for 0 fees with the VanEck Ethereum ETF. An investment in the trust involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The trust is not an investment company registered under the Investment Company Act of 1940 or a commodity pool for the purposes of the Commodity Exchange Act, and thus offers fewer investor protections. Brokerage fees and commissions may apply.
So I thought that was cool. That obviously got some advice from Richard Hart's lawyers with all those disclaimers at the end there. Pretty full on.
You got to trust a pudgy penguin, don't you? I mean, that's just that sounds legit all over it, you know.
Exactly.
I wonder where they're showing that, like on what platform, or is it on free-to-air TV, or like where would that be playing?
Yeah, I had a bit of a scour just then trying to find it, and I couldn't see where they were showing it or anything like that. But yeah, it'd be interesting if you ended up seeing it on some form of TV or probably online advertising a bit more. But yeah,
I guess it's not really something that, I mean, if you think about it, an ETF is not really something that you just advertise to the masses, is it?
Yeah, no.
I've seen
if you can find
on a few, Cointelegraph and all this sort of stuff, but that's more people who are already into crypto. But yeah, some of those things. I mean, there's one in Australia. I think it's called it's like Stockhead, and then they have I think it's an equivalent. It's like Coinhead or something like that. But yeah, there's a few things like that people might watch or read. Yeah,
well, they obviously need to find the right demographics to show it to. I'm sure they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Hex Turbo had an interesting thing to say about the Ethereum ETF. He basically was saying that there was like from the Bitcoin ETF, there was a bit of a sell the news, and it took about a month to recover. So he's got this sort of 31 days to get back to where it was before it went on a massive bull run. So I thought that was really interesting to see. Yeah, maybe we just might be looking at a little bit of a retracement for 30 days or something like that, just to.
Wow, was it 30 days? Far out. It didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Right, because it didn't go down that much, like as a percentage, because it was peaking around that sort of 46 down to 39. So I don't know what that retracement is, but there's also been some other things. Like I know the S&P 500 dropped quite a bit recently, and that was probably on the back of, I think China has just cut interest rates over there for the second consecutive interest rate cut. That might be because they're sort of, I think, in more of a dire situation economically, but then that maybe people are thinking that the US are going to cut in September, cut the rates. And there's normally an average, I think Somi reckons about 27% down when they start cutting rates, like on average. So maybe people are just sort of wary that the rates might start to get cut soon. But yeah, definitely sell the news a little bit, I think, when it comes to that ETF. Yeah,
I think so. That's for sure. Hey, say good day to everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining us on the Friday Arvo or wherever you are. Could be middle of the night. We usually get Fast Abdul coming in and saying, "What are you doing up at 1 a.m.?" But we got Red Squirrel there. How you going, mate? Klaz. Hey, Klaz. Hope you're doing well. Always good to have you here. And we got Cryptomatic, Mr. DJ. Hope you're going good. You're probably on your way to work or something. Who else? We got Jerry there. G'day, Jerry. And so anyone that doesn't know Klaz, she's always in the chat there, but also if Dozer ever says anything too bad, you just see this hand come around and give him a big clip over the ears. So
she's almost within striking distance. Just in the corner painting. Yeah.
No, that's gold. And who's this one? Reed Mac. Yeah, Reed Mac 77, something like that. How you going? Interesting to know how many people in that come into the stream are from Australia. So put some Aussie flags in the chat if you are, because we don't always know where you're from. But it looks like we've got 11 people watching on YouTube and 6 on Twitter. And my recent research on streaming tells me that the Twitter ones are usually bots. So if you're watching on Twitter, tell us, please, because that'd be...
We don't discriminate around here.
It'd be nice for it to all be... legit views, that's for sure. But yeah, hey, we've got I just thought I'd bring this up as well. So in the last 7 days, just looking at the numbers here, obviously we had a bit of hype last week with the prices starting to run up a bit. But yeah, so over the last 7 days, we're a little bit down on the PulseX price, 3.5%. Same with incentive, and Hex taking a bit of a bigger hit there. And I think eHex has taken an even bigger hit again. So
your mic has just cut out a little bit, mate. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh no!
Oh, there you go. It's back.
I'm back. I'm all good.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's so back. Yeah, all good, mate.
Not sure what's going on there.
We've retraced. What have we retraced? About 15 to 16% from that local high.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about it last week, and I was saying, 9 days in a row is normally a pretty good run. Like if I know Agent likes the TD indicators, but it's
exactly
like you get 9 green candles in a row. Like you either get that continuation or you get a retracement. So
it'd be nice if we've found if we can stay above that 0.006 mark. It'd be nice if we could, and then maybe do another 66% run, which that would take us to about a cent on the PulseChain side of things.
That's for sure.
That would be nice. It'd be nice to be in the full cent range, don't you think? Yeah. I always say that. I've always said I feel so much better when we're in the whole numbers of cents.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. So you're talking about Hex on PulseChain.
Yes.
Up around getting it up to that. Yeah, it's the same because I think you've got Pulse on there. But yeah, the Hex on Pulse above a penny. Yeah, like let's go. Come on. We don't want some pump for ants. We want it to be sustained pump. I think Ivan on Tech was saying once the SAC wallets start pumping, and then people are going to be taking a bit more notice. But they want to see a sustained pump, not just a little one. But it looks like we formed a bit of a bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, yeah, you can kind of see on both on Pulse and on Hex, but where we went down to on Pulse to that 40369, and then we crossed over the above the 10 and the 20 MA, and we're still above the 20 MA on the daily. So even if we put in a higher low now, then that's just nice structure to keep going up, right?
Definitely. Hey, did you want to bring those up quickly? I know we do a bit of degen TA later on, but do you want to bring up the charts for us now? I just
I can. So this was the hex one that 43 was just saying, trying to get it, up at 00 or keep it above 006. I mean, it looks like there was resistance there from a while back. Oh, okay. So that was weekly resistance at like 0069. And then, so that was really strong resistance. So it's probably not a huge shock that it's just got rejected off that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's above the 20 MA on the daily. So, if it's making, like I say, a higher low, then you're just going to get this sort of diagonal support sort of start to happening. We'll see. I think there's plenty of time. That'll be very nice if that holds. Yep. And I mean, in terms of like Pulse, same deal. Like, I mean, they all got the liquidity bond. So this is on the daily. That's where we wicked down to the 40369. We closed above the 20 MA there. So it's like, let's go. Sort of confirming the bottom and then also confirming when the moving average is crossed. And we haven't, negated that yet. So I think, as long as we can get a bit of support here, it looks like there's support I've drawn from the past here. So if we can get a higher low, it's going to be the same thing. And then, so the one that the biggest chart that I've sort of been watching like a hawk for some time now, I think we've talked about it quite a lot as well, is the wrapped ETH, wrapped Pulse. So if you price it in wrapped ETH, so it's just been, it was been going down against ETH this whole time. And then now it's just sitting in this real sideways channel. Almost, like, I don't want to say it's,
made to be like that,
manipulated or whatever, but it is really in a tight channel. And so this was like resistance here. I saw it get rejected off that during the week. And then it closed above it. And I was like, oh, hello, what's going on? And then now it's just sort of going down. So this sideways pattern between Pulse and ETH is perfect for liquidity providing and yield farming. So, if you've got in the yield farms and you're earning ink and it's just going sideways, you're going to see very little impermanent loss. And then the other thing that you can do, I guess, is you can take the ink that you've earned, accrued from that yield farming, and put it into like an ink Pulse farm as well. So you kind of compound. Let me put it in terms of Pulse. So if you take that ink and then you put it in an ink and Pulse farm, then you can kind of earn more ink. And that's also going sideways, like ink versus Pulse. So also not much impermanent loss as well. And then you can take the ink from that and put it back into either of the farms. So you kind of, you can see how you can compound it like almost daily if you could be bothered.
If you can be bothered and you want to put all those entries in, there's even when it comes to tax time and stuff as well, if you're doing that sort of stuff, it all adds up to more time and effort. But you can definitely make a bit if you
that's a really good point. So what I do is I just have an Excel spreadsheet that I put in, the cost of the two tokens at the time that I add the liquidity position, and the quantity of the tokens, and the dates and things like that. So then that way you and then when you exit, and maybe how much PLP you get from and then when you stake that's when and then you see how much yield you get. So you just keep track of it. So I know I use Coinly, and there's the Australian tax calculator one as well, but just as a backup. Just so then when you go through and you manually check your like Coinly records, you can kind of go, hang on, no. This, so it's the LP tokens, it can't differentiate between the LP tokens. So if you've got multiple farms going, and if you do like first in, first out, then it might think that you're taking LP tokens and getting your position back, but those are actually from a different farm. So you just got to track it a little bit when it comes to tax. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, can get very complicated, especially with new blockchains and stuff, because there's not a lot of data on those ones from PulseChain either. So
and our block explorers.
Yeah, exactly. Makes it very hard to keep track of. So that's a great tip. That is for sure.
These software as a service providers for crypto accounting, they really should be getting all the info directly from the blockchain, not like they shouldn't be getting secondary info. They should be running their own node, really, and getting the data from there rather than relying on a third party.
Yeah, would be nice. I think they work really well with centralized exchanges because it's so much easier to get the API and whatever for that. But yeah, it struggles with the blockchain stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of other things as well. I mean, you can use DBank, and I really would like to get ARK Invest, the Arkham, I should say. Arkham, if they supported PulseChain, I think that would be handy as well, because they have a lot of tools, and things like that for tracking.
I've got something that I haven't actually ever used, but I've got it on my list of things that I need to do. I've got a very long list of things that I need to get around to doing. But one of them is this software called Rotki, ROTKI. And it's a portfolio manager that protects your privacy. Rotki is an open source portfolio tracker, accounting, and analytics tool that protects your privacy. And you can, run that locally rather than I'm a big fan of all that sort of stuff. Like anything that you can run locally over relying on a third party company that then has all this data I just don't trust the third party companies to not get hacked. That's my big that's my issue.
Definitely.
That really is the biggest issue I have. I just don't trust them to get hacked. Almost every exchange gets hacked.
Yep. Yeah, that's for sure. So those tracking sites, what would your worry be with them getting hacked? Because a lot of them, you don't have to connect your wallet. I would never do that anyway. You can just put your address in there. Are you worried? Tell us in the chat what you might be thinking.
My concern is that that's data about so the same concern I would have about if my bank details and transactions and transparency of my bank account was just out, like everyone could just see my bank account. That would be my same concern. And fair enough, you may not have linked your name to that data, but you may have.
Yeah, so are they linking that to IP though? IP, like if you're using a VPN, then it might just, the only link between that wallet would be through your IP address, but that IP address could be just a proxy.
Well, you also don't. You also send transactions from an exchange to your wallet address.
Oh yeah.
Right. So there is information out there about who you are and where the money's gone. Now, if what I'm saying is that if this data gets hacked, if this data gets out there and people can put two and two together, and then they know all the data's out there. They know where you live. They know where and it's just not. I just think
it's unnecessary as well. It's like
there's a reason why bank accounts are not open for everyone to look at. There's a reason for that, right? And it's because the first thing that criminals would do is look at these accounts and say, yo, these people have lots of money. Let's go rob them, or let's go and do something to get the money, right? The good old $5 wrench attack. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about stuff that, you should be very careful about how you
Have
go
you seen
about
that thing in the EU? They're trying to propose to put in an asset register. Have you seen that
Yeah,
stuff during
yeah.
the week?
I
They're trying to
did
get
see
everyone
that.
to register all of your assets in a register.
Well, this is where the lines.
Register. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
what?
Huge honeypot.
Criminals can just look down at it and go, "All right, this guy's got all sorts of shit. Let's go rob him."
Yeah,
The
sort
stupidest thing
by,
I've ever heard.
exactly.
Sort by. Best place to rob.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
from highest to lowest.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey,
convenient.
Come on. It's funny how that is such a bad idea.
That's the stupidest idea I've heard.
And also, who are the EU to tell people in a sovereign country what the fuck to do? Like, who the fuck are they to do that? So,
and it's a honeypot, right? You create all that data, you put it in a registry.
Who looks after that data?
Who's going to
that data
maintain
held?
Security for it? Yeah.
Who's got access to it? It gets hacked for sure. It gets hacked. For sure it gets hacked.
Yeah.
The
only way to stop things like that from getting hacked is to not collect the data in the first place. Like, that's a Richard Hart thing where he sort of says, insurance companies or whatever, if you don't want to get hacked, well, then don't store massive databases that go back 20 years on every single thing that you've collected on someone, and then go, "Oh, sorry, everyone, we had a data breach." Like, who could have seen that coming? This
does not resonate with normies. This argument does not resonate with normies. When you say this to people, they're like, they're so used to trusting third parties with sensitive data like this.
Man, it grinds my gears hard.
Yeah.
What's that?
It grinds my gears. Like, that's a family thing.
Yeah, don't get me onto it as well, dude. I will bitch and moan about this the whole fucking stream if you want to.
Some people just don't get it. It's just like, they're just like, oh yeah, and who cares? What does it matter? Absolutely crazy. Hey, I heard CrowdStrike would be a good one to be handling, keeping things online these days.
How was that? We were streaming True Blue. Remember last week we were streaming, and
that's right.
Was it Cal or someone came on and was like, "There's some sort of outage."
Everything went down.
So did you guys read up on that at all? Did you work out what was going on?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean,
so what I know is that they do a lot of like virus protection and like IP stuff for massive corporations. So it's like, thousands of computers or whatever, not so much just like, your one or two computers, which is why we were still streaming and all the shops were down and the airport and stuff. I don't know heaps more into it than that, but what about you, Dozza?
Oh, look, 43 probably knows more about it than I do, but I just thought it was funny because I watch a lot of Mr. Robot, and there's this, he works in a cybersecurity company, and then he's trying to like take down the banks and stuff, and it was like they had basically put in some sort of code by accident that just fucked everyone's computers like globally. And if you think about it, like, this is just with the tinfoil hat on sort of thing, you're thinking, well, hang on, a week ago, Trump was the attempted assassination. So assuming that he didn't just turn his head slightly, there might have been riots in the streets. There could have been, some people saying like civil war, but it's certainly huge unrest in North America. And then you take out the ability for people to pay for things like without, digitally, without cash. It could have been a bit of a shit show, more than it already was. Yeah,
definitely.
We went to Kentucky Fried Chicken on Saturday, and their drive-through wasn't working, so we had to go in.
You would have go in. You would have had cash on you. Yeah,
I had cash. Oh yeah, I had cash. There was some places that weren't accepting cash. Like it boggles the mind. There were some places that would not accept cash. I'm like, hang on a second. You're not going to accept.
You have to take
I saw that where I went, they accepted cash, so it was fine. But just on the CrowdStrike thing, let me give and I hope I get this right, but from my understanding is it had to do with a so drivers or is it drivers are signed by like Microsoft. They've got like give it a signature just to say, this is good. But what they do with drivers is they sort of, I'll explain it in terms of crypto. Imagine like a contract that refers to a proxy contract, but the proxy contract has admin keys, right? So really, even though your contract is like immutable, it's sort of not, is it? Because it's referring to a proxy contract with admin keys. That's sort of like what is going on with the CrowdStrike thing and how this code got in, because the driver was signed, right? But if you make changes to the driver, you have to get a new signature, right? Yeah. And that, you know, so what my understanding of what happened is that the code that they changed was in these sort of definition files, which are referred to by the driver. So the and it's not like the driver itself. So the driver that was the problem was referring to outside stuff. So that's why it caused all these problems, and that's why it happened, because they can. And it just goes to show you the problem with you know, in crypto we get around that by, and this is how I'm going to tie a long bow and bring us back to why Hex is so fucking good, because, you know, as a contract, it doesn't refer to outside things. You know, it's everything's encapsulated in that contract. And this is what happens when you rely on a company that can go and inject code in. Well, they go and inject code, and then it's bad code. You're all fucked. You're all fucked. Someone has to go and load it. Someone has to go load your operating system in safe mode and then manually go to a folder and delete that file and then fix it. And that has to be done manually. Otherwise, you know, and that's why it caused so much disruption.
Unreal. Yeah. It's I've seen people talking about, you know, the whole thing of, oh, now we should rethink what we're doing with cash and you know, only relying on cards and stuff like that. But my response to that is just, it's way too far gone. You know, everyone's too used to it now. And only the people that are switched on, like 43, always has a bit of cash in the back pocket, you know.
I was okay. I was covered.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we know what's going on, but yeah, a lot of people are just, you know, all they have is the card. That's it. They don't know anything else.
So I've got a question for you. If shit hit the fan, I don't want to be like dramatize anything. Or if shit hit the fan, you need some stuff, and Woolworths isn't accepting. They're not. They can't take any payments, but people need shit, right?
Yep.
There's a point where people are like, hey, we need food, or we need water, or we need whatever. Who knows how bad it? Yeah. So if they're not accepting payments, there's a point at which people just go. Like, you would think there's a point at which people go, fuck, you know, I'm not going to let my kids starve.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then they just go they just go take it, right?
Yeah. There's a quote, I forget who said it, but it's basically something along the lines of, you know, society is about, I think it's like 5 days without food away from just chaos. Like, so if you can think about your situation, and if you had your family or whatever, and if you could probably last a couple of days, about 5 to 8 days.
It's not enough.
Oh, and then it's just fucking chaos. It's become you know, survival of the fittest. Definitely. And it's just like people just start taking shit. It'll devolve super quick.
Oh,
people can't. When you're saying that you can't, it's not just like if you've got you know, cash is king, and if you've got some cash or whatever, and then you can pay for things, and then you'll be fine. But I'm talking about like if there's no payments, there's, you know, nothing going around, and your family's like starving. All of the structures that we have in place, like with society, I reckon they just go to shit like real quick.
Yeah, like there's no safety anymore. There wouldn't be any safety because people are going to, like, anyone who's just halfway criminally minded and doesn't mind doing harm to other people, that's going to be what they do to get like access to food. And
well, it's the scarcity mindset, right? So this is really interesting, because when the outages went down and I still had cash, and I was like, you know, we went to the servo, and there were some people in there, and I was thinking, oh, I can just pay for their shit because I've got cash, like no big deal. So especially if they need like fuel or something. They can't just be stranded there. And then I was just thinking, I wonder how long this outage is going to be out for. And just like my instinct is to help people, but because of the scarcity of it, I thought, well, if I'm only going to have this much cash for however many days, maybe I need to be really careful about how I spend it, because there wasn't like it's coming back in the next hour or it's coming back tomorrow. It's like, well, hang on, we're going to be really careful here. So that scarcity mindset changes your behavior. And I think that's the idea with like Bitcoin as well. It's like, so there's 21 million Bitcoin or whatever out there. And then you get these institutions buying it up. You get people, so there might be billionaires and stuff out there that are like, Bitcoin shit, whatever. And then they start looking into how their dollars are being devalued and diluted. And then they might just think, well, just to be sure, like maybe I should just buy $100 million worth of Bitcoin, like just in case, And then there's going to be a few people, like a few billionaires out there that might just be going, oh, hang on, how much is there for sale? And because there's a finite amount and that scarcity model. So that's what, the Michael Saylors and that sort of guys will have you believe. But yeah, interesting to see it play out in real time when I was at the server on Friday night, just going,
definitely.
This is how I spend my money, by giving it away to strangers.
By the way, it's always a good idea, and I say this as a full-blooded Italian, born in Australia, love Australia with all my heart.
Yeah. As
a full-blooded Italian, you should always keep like 20 packs of pasta in your home, and probably 10 packs of rice. Just
I
because
didn't think you were going to say pasta. That's funny.
Just because, as far as food goes, it's pretty like easy to make. And you can keep it for ages. And that's you can just you can cycle through it. Like you don't just have to keep it there and never touch it. You can like eat it and just replace it with like the fresher ones at the, and you just have that buffer of
Mate,
food.
You've probably got
no one's going to start
in your backyard in like little safe boxes. You got some.
I thought you were cooking fresh. I thought you'd make it fresh, but anyway. You'd be sitting there feeding it through. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
We had to. That is a lot of work. That is.
No,
I mean,
that is what I would actually like to dedicate at some point, not too distant future. I'd like to dedicate my life to just eating food that I produce myself.
Big time. That would be awesome. If you had
I would love that. Garden.
Yeah, I would go through a lot of tomatoes, I reckon.
Yeah,
I would like to have some tomatoes, that's for sure.
I was at my uncle's place. Yeah. I was at my uncle's place today, and he had his patch of broccoli growing, and it's like not even a big patch, but he had so much broccoli coming up, and he just cuts it off he just cuts it off as we're having broccoli tonight, just cut it off. It's so good for you as well.
Oh yeah.
With a bit of chicken and all that stuff. It's amazing. Speaking of chicken, so I was chatting to someone the other day, and he was talking about how he's got chickens, but he buys the eggs fertilized, and then he just sort of puts them under the hens, and then they all this sort of stuff, and then they get more and more chickens, and so he doesn't have a rooster. And then he was talking about how, it's this like infinite egg glitch where you can just keep getting eggs and keep getting chickens. And I was like,
how does he take that? How does he take the eggs home? Does he have like a pizza delivery box he puts the eggs in? And
gotta keep it warm or something. I don't know.
Keep it at a specific temperature.
He was telling me, he goes, oh yeah. You gotta slip the egg. And I'm like, how does the hen not know that it's laid some eggs that are unfertilized, and then all of a sudden it's got like 15 eggs and all these hatchlings coming out, and then but apparently it protects them fully as if it's its own hatchlings, because I guess chickens are dumb. Like it just doesn't realize that, it only hatched like 3 eggs, but now there's like 15 eggs under it.
That's the beauty of Mother Nature and instincts and things that are hardwired into us. It's the beauty of that, isn't it?
Pretty amazing. Yeah. Chickens and sheep, I don't think they're two of the smartest things on the planet. That's for sure.
You've got some sheep, don't you, True Blue?
Yeah. We've got the meat side of being, self-sufficient covered, but we're just getting to the veggie side. So yeah,
I love that.
got quite a few sheep going around.
And hit you up with some,
yeah.
We give you some lamb jerky or something. Send it in the mail.
That's it.
We got. Do you do your own? Do you have to? Do you slaughter yourself, or you take them to an abattoir?
I've learning to do it myself. So we've got some people here in the community that I've done it with, and they've shown us the ropes type thing. But I'm not 100%, on doing it myself just yet. But yeah, down to the killing them to start with, and then hanging them and stripping it off, and then butcher day once they've hung for a week or two in the cool room. Get the bandsaw out and slice them up. So, and it's good. Yeah, it's just so cool watching the whole process, and then you can just be like, all right, what size cuts do we want? How big are the roasts? Just nice. It's all your own choice. So pretty. When amazing.
I was a kid and I was in Italy with my family, there was an old guy who used to just do his own slaughtering in his backyard.
Yeah.
So my dad took me to his place one day, and he just he had this pig there. He just ties the pig up, right by the back legs, and just hoists the rope up and just pulls him up. Yeah, and the pig wasn't like that. That took me by. I wasn't expecting that. They were doing it. He just started doing it, and I'm just sitting there like I was probably about 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah,
and then he just one thing I'll never forget. He stuck this is going to be a bit graphic. I hope people don't.
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
Hang on, but this is the reality of everyone. Most people eat meat. This is the reality of it. Hey, so he just sticks a knife there, right, and just starts.
Oh yeah,
coming out. It's like, whoa! I wasn't expecting that, and at that age, I didn't know to be anything but just wide-eyed about it,
Yeah.
And then he just did the whole thing, and he did it with what did he do with a goat? I think he did it with a goat.
Yeah.
As well one time, and that was the goat was a bit easier. The pig was I think the pig knew what was happening. The pig was weird, I think.
Yeah, no.
It was a weird.
We normally lay them down, pin them down type thing, rather than hanging them up to do it. But you lay them down and straight through the throat. And then the guy that I did it with, he's amazing with being, growing his own stuff and all that. So even the blood, he drains into a tray and then uses that as a fertilizer mix.
But why not?
Oh, okay.
The gun that has a little bolt that comes out. That seems a lot. That seems like a lot. Because I've got family over in Sicily who still do that sort of stuff.
No Country for Old Men style. Have you seen that?
Yeah, and that just seems like they don't. It's a lot less. I guess
it's more humane.
I guess it's just that they just bang, they're out. That's it.
It happens pretty quick. There's no fighting or squirming. It's just it's over in a second anyway. But I get what you're saying. With a pig
they lose all blood pressure. There's no blood pressure at that point, and then they would pass out straight away. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's for sure. But anyway, nice chicken and livestock sheep chat, guys. That was great.
Fast Abdul said that the dingoes took his crypto.
Yeah.
And he reckons not 5 days, 3 meals.
Yeah, it's
we have been making.
You can wait a day.
We have makings of a citadel right here. We've got our EMP builder over here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I'll be in charge of electronics and electricity infrastructure.
Over here, we've got our livestock, and meat.
Old Farmer Joe
provider. I know what I'm going to do.
Then we got the Pasta King.
I'll play Red Horse.
We got some.
Yeah.
Some pasta.
Make pasta. I could do that.
We're covered.
I'll make fires. I'll make fires.
It would be amazing, and decentralized like that. You'd be sending messages through portals 43. You'll just be, untraceable communication set up and all that sort of stuff. It'd be amazing.
It would be radio. Handheld radio. Oh, but You know what? I've been meaning to tell you guys this. My wife, like, I didn't want to get my son a phone yet because he's not old enough. I don't want him to have a phone. It's just like, you don't need a phone.
Yep.
But I had these 2 walkie-talkies lying around. So we solved the problem, because the issue is, like, after school, it's like coordinating with the kids. They're waiting, and there's like, it's bedlam after school. There's just like no car parks or anything. It's like, where are they? So they've got a walkie-talkie each now. So after school, they're just like, you know, they've got their signals. Yeah, exactly.
Dingo over.
It's awesome. Why don't we use walkie-talkies more? Why don't people use walkie-talkies more? They're so much better than phones.
Yeah, like, we use them a lot here, but yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so I'm very interested in the encrypted. Like, I want to we've talked about that before, Dozer, but that's what I'm the most interested in, like long range encrypted.
You can get them encrypted digital. You set a channel and you can encrypt it and all sorts of stuff. So,
but what's the distance? The question is how far can they go? Like, that's the thing.
Well, the vehicle ones are pretty good. If they're in a vehicle, I think that you start to get into the tens of watts, 50 watts or something like that. The serious
power,
got decent range. Yeah.
What sort of
mobile
range?
ones don't generally have enough power, but
kilometers. Many kilometers. So
you could have relays, couldn't you? You could have relayers along the way.
Yeah. That's it.
Depending on the terrain, you could get, if it's a flat terrain, you could get a fair bit of distance for sure.
Yeah, I often wonder, like, if the shit really hit the fan and it's like, and you would, I think people would start setting up some shit pretty quick. They'd be like, oh, finally I get to use all this stuff. Finally I get to, definitely. I'm going to, like, there are things that you sort of probably, you probably couldn't do, but in those situations, you'd be like free reign.
There'd be a lot of hold my beer.
Yes.
All the get stuck into it.
Preppers would just be like, finally, I can do this. But look, I mean, that's why they say that the currency in the post-apocalyptic future is basically bullets. Like that's what it comes down to. Like it's no joke. I think when it comes down to it, it'll just be like, oh, it's funny. Like I'm saying, it will be as if like it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time, whether it's like in 10 years or 100 years or 1,000 years or 10,000 years.
But it's already like that in some places. That's the point. The point is that, like, I was having this discussion today.
If you're in Africa or something like that.
Yeah, this stuff already is like, shit has already hit the fan in lots of places.
Big time, bro. Yep. My brother tells a story when he was driving through Cape Town, and he says that you just don't stop at red lights because you get carjacked.
Wow.
It's no joke. Like it's just common knowledge. Like you just don't. If you stop at a red light, someone will, with a gun, take your car.
That is nuts. Yeah.
And then, that's just how it is. I was like,
wow, scary time to be alive.
Think about that. Yeah, so that's the thing, isn't it? But I mean, there's not many guns in Australia, so but I've got the hand-to-hand combat down, so I'm good from that point of view.
Exactly, but, close range, you're sorted.
That's it, and I've got some samurai swords and stuff, but not a lot of guns in Australia. So,
hey, so quick, question on all that. Just say shit was to hit the fan. What do you reckon the most valuable asset would actually be? I reckon I know my answer, but weapons. Just say, the shops. Yeah, the shops are closed. There's crap going everywhere. You can't call the cops because no one's going to help you in that situation.
Water, like starting with the basics of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you need food, water, and shelter. So water, because 3 days without water,
weapons, you can take all that shit, bro. If you don't have food stores, I'll just come and take all your pasta.
Yeah, but you can have all the weapons in the world. You can have all the weapons in the world. If you don't have 3 days worth of drinking water, you're fucked.
Yeah, you need water. Yeah,
that's
true.
Sure.
Like
water.
You need,
good point.
So, and plus, if you've got resources, and I guess an ability to protect yourself, you can still like barter with other people if it's at that point.
I still reckon weapons, man. I'm locking in hard
Weapons.
weapons.
Oh yeah, weapons. Yeah, for sure. But then
if someone has like the full stores,
you have to go and take. What's that?
Well, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
Yeah. My three would be.
I watched the most random videos on YouTube. I watched the video the other day about a guy turning swamp water into drinkable water by using like cutting a piece of like branch off a tree and putting it like in a bottle, and then like the water passed through this piece of branch and came out the other side clean. Nice. And he did that a couple of different times.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, I didn't know that was possible. And it's just like, yeah, put that in the mental bank just in case one day that's required.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, it depends on what's happened, right? So, I mean, as with always, and what we were talking about last week with the freedom of speech and all that stuff, it's like the context matters. And you know, if you're Fast Abdul and you've only waited like 24 hours, maybe just hold off just murdering people until there's like that would be embarrassing if you've just gone full, you know, prepper and just started this, and then they're like, "Oh no, power's back on, everyone, it's all good." And,
as he's hacking the community, the lights all come back on. It's like the music words comes back on.
Yeah, that's
so, because if in the aftermath of like a nuclear explosion, one of the things that happens with the radioactive fallout is that I think you get this radioactive iodine that goes into your thyroid, and that's actually one of the biggest, you know, causes of, you know, the effects of radioactive, you know, cancer and things like that. Yeah. So there's some sort of iodine that you can take. I'd have to look it up.
Iodized salt. Is that
you could look it up. It's like
because you can buy iodized salt. Like when you buy salt, there's like iodized salt.
Yeah, sure. But no, this is like, it's like potassium iodide or potassium iodine, I think. And they give it out, that the government will issue it. Like they'll give it out to people so that if you have that much iodine in your system, your thyroid, it absorbs that iodine. It doesn't absorb the radioactive iodine from the nuclear explosion. So it's like it's saturated, like your thyroid is saturated, but it won't absorb anymore. So like I've got some, and I think that everyone should possibly have some, like just in case. Like it's like the nukes have landed. All right, the first thing I'm doing is popping some potassium iodide.
Yeah,
because I mean, you can look into what you got to do, but that's from a nuclear thing. But I guess it depends on the context of what exactly has happened that you may need to be prepared for. But water, of course, is crucial.
Yeah,
and maybe
for sure.
fuel.
Yep.
Go bush.
Yep. Diesel would go up, that's for sure. I reckon the 3 meals is probably pretty close. We saw what happened in COVID, you know, just over toilet paper. If you actually couldn't get food and stuff like that, people would flip their lid pretty quick. And, you know, people with, you know, pretty unstable, you know, mental situations and stuff like that, they'd lose it very quickly, I reckon. So,
well, surprising how close it came last Friday, like literally global payment rail outage. And like I said, if Trump had been assassinated and then that happened a week later, like it's almost as if people are trying to destable. I don't know. It seems like there's some sort of government sort of destabilization sort of going on. And it's interesting to see that Biden now has effectively stepped down and have done like a peaceful transition. If it was any other country, it would be called a coup.
Yeah, but, that's right.
You know, she wasn't elected or anything. But now it's Kamala Harris, isn't it? That's running the show.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's it was a quick little change of hands, wasn't it? Happened very smoothly on that side. So just like,
over here. Yep. Oh, you've lost money. You can't pay for things. Oh, don't worry. We've got a new president.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. No, it's crazy stuff. And Trump as well. I was going to talk about the Bitcoin conference. Sorry, I'm going to hijack that there. But I was going to mention about the Bitcoin conference that's on. And we got like Matty Allen's over there. I know there'd be heaps of hexagons over there and stuff, but Matty Allen's over there. He did a stream from there, but I think Trump's due any time, I think in the next sort of 24 hours to do his speech. So I was going to see what you guys thought of what we can expect from that, in the short term sort of markets, or, what you think he might say.
I think OMG is going to go up at least 10% after Trump does his speech. But apart from that, look, or maybe MAGA coin. But look, there's going to be a few people speaking at that conference. I think that'd be interesting, interested to hear. I think RFK and there was a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, even Kamala Harris said she was going to be there, or there was reports on it, and then she's confirmed she's not going to be there. It's like, yeah, all right, very interesting.
Because the Dems hate crypto.
Yeah, exactly.
Demonstrated over the last 4 years. Yeah, they hate crypto.
Yeah. Well, she was the one that said that, it's Bitcoin is the easiest thing for criminals to use, or is mostly used by criminals. So why would she even be?
She says,
doesn't even make sense.
It's probably one of like a huge I'm sure that she has not. I'm sure that she has broken laws. I'm sure that she's broken laws.
Oh, okay. But from that point of view, that criminals can use transparent blockchains to transact easier than they can use cash. That doesn't make any sense. What you're saying? Yeah, no. It's like actually incorrect. Yeah. So. Yeah, look, if they were serious about supporting Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in any way, they could just fire Gary Gensler. That'd be a show of good faith, wouldn't it? Free Ross Ulbricht.
Nice. Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And then you'd also take away some of Trump's, ammo in a sense, because then he can
Trump
say that he's going to do it.
Deserves to get in just because he got shot. That's it.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I reckon. Yeah.
He took a bullet for his country.
This story needs to play out. It needs to play out.
We were saying earlier about that 43, where it's like, it happened, just over a week ago or something. And it's almost like everyone's already forgotten about it. Like, crazy, it's not being really circulating anymore, and it's all over, whatever. So
I just see more and more things, like they talk about the pitch on that roof, like it was a 1:12 ratio. And I'm going, why would you even say that it was too sloped? It's barely sloped at all.
That is ridiculous. I loved all the memes.
Trump is so lucky to be alive. So
insane.
That is because from what I've listened to, I've listened to a Tucker Carlson podcast where they go into the detail of the known, but they're just like, because now that Secret Service director has resigned. But there's so much stuff that there's like question marks about why, like, how is it possible that building, like, how is it even possible? It's just so weird. And the only reason Trump is alive is because just before he took the shots, the policeman stuck his head over the thing and distracted him. He turned around, aimed his gun, his rifle at the policeman, who dropped back down. He realized he was like sprung, turned around and took shots quickly, right? And because of that, he probably missed. Otherwise, he would have probably not missed.
Good point. Yeah, that's scary.
So, how was he? And then, like, another thing we haven't heard about. What about the explosives they found in his car, in his truck? We haven't heard anything about that. How is a 20-year-old kid,
get access to all the explosives?
How did he know how to do? So I think it's if a kid that age wants to learn that stuff, you can learn it, right? It's not like it's not rocket science. It's still technical stuff, but it's not rocket science.
There's so much dodgy stuff around that. Like, if you noticed that the photo that they keep showing of that Crooks guy, he's like 16 in it. Like he's like in school, but he's like 20, right? So where was the recent photos of an age appropriate photo? Like that's like a fifth of his actual age. Like that's quite a bit younger. They choose that.
All the things that you would expect to happen. Like they haven't shown like that they brought the parents in to to talk to them. Like all the stuff that you would expect them to like just publicly say, hey, we're doing this, we're doing this.
Socials,
no transparency whatsoever about what's happening.
Get into his phone or something. And it's like, what do you mean you can't break into a phone?
Can you not?
You already have backdoors in it. So what are you talking about?
It's like Pegasus, bro.
Yeah. Oh, well.
No,
Pegasus. I mean,
look, I don't know that Pegasus would, if it's been off, if the phone's off, but I think they've gotten into the phone now because they were saying that he was surfing porn earlier that day.
They said that they had his browser history, but that could have been on a desktop. But there was a whole bunch of stuff. They were asking like how many shell casings were there on the roof, and they refused to answer. And they're like, no, but seriously though, how many shell casings? Like, well, you have to speak to the FBI about that. And they're like, well, then can someone from the FBI tell us? Because we want to know if there's a second shooter, right? Like if there's only like one shell casing on the roof and we heard like 4 or 5 shots, but they refuse to answer that. It's like, just tell us.
It's crazy. What about this one with the roof? So they weren't allowed on the sloped roof to protect him. But the dude's up on the sloped roof washing the roof down like the day after or something.
Yeah. Just getting rid of all the evidence.
No worries. Safe to be on there though. Yeah, dangerous slope.
And look at the slope on it.
Mate.
It's not even remotely challenged by that slope.
So by the way, the secret, like what the Secret Service director said was dangerous for them to be on that roof. Yet that guy's on the fucking roof, just like fucking with water, we could slip off, but that's not fucking dangerous.
And look how stable he looks. Look how he doesn't look in any danger of like falling off. He's just sitting there like he's gardening his roses, just happy days. I saw the
this
roof,
is the big thing that's happened. A candidate, you know, a hated candidate. Yeah, like that. Exactly.
Yeah, the counter sniper was on a sloped roof that had a higher pitch than the one.
And apparently all these Secret Service people who were collaborating with the local law enforcement to put everything together, they didn't go to any of the local law enforcement briefings that they normally go to. They only went and checked out the area. Usually they go like a few days before, scope everything out and like, you know, work out the distances and everything, like where they're going to be and all the points, like where it could be potential like snipers or whatever. They didn't go early. They went the day before and just went and checked it out.
Bro, it's so sus, man. Like, I mean, I think it was the AOC, like even one of the Dems that, you know, asked the question. I mean, I don't know a lot about the politics and how, but they had that some sort of hearing and she was going, well, and she was talking to the head of the Secret Service and sort of saying, well, what was the distance of the secure perimeter? And it was basically up to that building, which I think was 200 yards. Yeah. And they said, well, do you know what the average range of an AR-15, which is one of the most common guns in America, and it's like 400 to 600 yards. And it's like, well, then why wasn't the secure perimeter like at least the minimum setback of the average like range, the most common?
He didn't use the scope either. He didn't have a scope.
Oh, okay.
Really? Okay.
He was aiming with the metal things on there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
that shows how much we know about guns here in Australia.
The question is, why did he do that? And they believe because having a scope makes it easier for the counter snipers to see because that scope is sitting on top, right? So he must have known that to not have the scope on there.
Or he was just so close as well. Like, I think that the fact that he was just literally only 200 yards away, that's like really close.
He also did searches on his computer the day, like in the preceding days or whatever, about the parents of another shooter and how they were treated by law enforcement in the aftermath of a shooting.
That's a bit sad.
Like,
right.
So he was just like researching, what are they going to do with my parents or whatever.
Yeah, that's a bit sad. I mean, look, the whole thing was just a shit show. I mean, I think the head of the Secret Service has now resigned.
She's gone.
So that's, thankfully, because I think there's definitely some incompetence at play. But the question is, if it was orchestrated in some way,
Incompetence.
Who was incompetence definitely plays a factor, obviously incompetence, but it's that Venn diagram of incompetence and corruption where it's like, is there a point where maybe someone let this happen and did anyone know about it? I don't know. I think hopefully we'll find out more about it because growing up,
Trump
I remember
was saved by those people who pointed out that he was on the roof, because that made cops go and stick their head up. He turned around, he felt under pressure, and under duress and pressure, he took shots to do it quickly, to get it done. And had he done it in his own time, he would have nailed him for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that shows that the people did a better job.
The people saved the people on the ground who were pointing him out. Saved him, saved him. Because, and then obviously the sniper who took him out. But I mean, it's there's apparent the problem is that Trump shouldn't have never been on the fucking podium. They knew that there was this guy walking around for 2 hours. They knew that this guy had this fucking rifle bag. Right. Yep. They knew he was walking around. Trump should have never have even been up there. So it's such a catastrophic failure of their systems that it's so bad that it just makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder. How
Jesus, a lot of things to get wrong.
So massive trail of screw ups.
Just the right amount of things to get wrong. Hey.
Yeah.
And
it's just. I don't know. I just hope that he has better security going forward. That's all, because I don't know if.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's only a video stream at the Bitcoin conference rather than him being there, present there, because think about it. Their security, how they go about their security now would be they'd be super strict. So they're not just going to waltz into a fucking Bitcoin conference. It would be just as easy just to have him address the conference from a video. Then I don't know what they're going to do, but I'd be super skeptical, and especially the fact that Kamala Harris isn't going anymore. It's what are they going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if she was actually going. I think that was just a rumor. Did she say she was going?
I think they were in talks. They the conference said that they were in talks or something, but it never came. It never eventuated. But they don't. We don't need they know. We know that they hate crypto. We know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you see, just quickly? Did you see that when Kamala was talking about, she was talking to Biden? I'll just see if I can play it.
It is so good to hear.
Can you hear that? Okay.
President's voice, Joe. I know you're still on the call, and we've been talking every day. You guys heard it from Doug's voice. We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us. And we do. Everybody here does. I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe.
So that sounded really weird. And I know that you can get AI clones where you can clone someone's voice, like that you get, a database, you put in their sort of characteristics, you give them something to learn from, and then they can clone that voice and you can use it as a filter so someone else can talk.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk about that maybe that wasn't actually Biden, because he had COVID at that point and he was out of the spotlight. And then she's just talking to, and she almost said that it was a recording, but it was also, it seemed really weird.
It was a weird exchange. Yeah.
It was a weird exchange. And so I saw this was the other one. I don't know if
haven't got it up yet. Keep going.
Sorry.
It's all right. There we go.
Have another scotch.
So anyway, I just want to say that these people fucking kidnapped me. They won't even give me any ice cream, not even food, regular food, until I sign some bullshit letter they want me to sign. But I am not signing that shit. I staying in the race. So let's go, Brandon. So anyway.
Hilarious.
Oh, that's too funny. But people are just making jokes. They got the voice, the AI clone. They're making.
Big time.
They won't give him any ice cream, and he went down on World Ice Cream Day. It was just, and then they want us to believe that he was actually having that conversation live. And it's like, I think we know about AI.
Yeah,
we know
that's
AI
right.
Voice clones exist.
Is that me or is that? Sorry, something was breaking up for a second. I think it was just me.
I think it might have been. I still had does all right, but they can't get away with that stuff too much at all, because everyone's smarter than the people that are even putting that together. It seems we're not silly. Everyone knows about AI now. That is for sure.
I just was baffled that we thought that was real. But anyway, maybe a lot of people did think it was real, but that whole exchange just seemed like Kamala was talking to a person using a Biden filter. Through the voice. That's what it seemed like to me.
Definitely. Yep, I agree. Hey, I'll say hi. Check out the chat quickly. I know you've brought some of these up, but just wanted to say hi to Yaveen. Yaveen's always commenting and watching our stream, so love to have you here. Yaveen. Yeah, and McNuggets. G'day, Mr. McNuggets, and hope Mrs. McNuggets is doing well as well. We had a good time out there at the Sydney meetup with you guys.
Hextop Publisher, I think her name is.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. And Hexagon Lost in Asia. Yeah, Subway only accepting card payments where he is. It's like that with a lot of things these days. One thing I hate is when you go up to the counter and you're ready to pay cash, but they just hit the FPOS button and like look away somewhere else, like they're just waiting for you to beep it, and it's like, hello, there is another currency, but that does my head in.
I'm going to be actively dyslexic whenever I see signs that say we don't accept cash, and I'm just going to go through the whole process of ordering everything to the point of when it's like they've made, think about it. They make you a Subway, a foot-long Subway. You get to the end, it's like, oh, I've only got cash.
Yeah,
and then they can decide whether they just give it to me for nothing or accept my cash.
Yeah, or put it in the bin.
Give it to me, or to put it in the bin. You guys decide what you want to do.
Exactly. That's a good one.
And at that point, that's where you show them the note where it says this is legal tender. So
yeah.
Fucking legal tender.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Flames. Yeah, talking about tax there. It's interesting when you get your head or start thinking about all the buttons you click and what it actually means for capital gain and stuff like that. So it's a good thing to be careful of. Unless you're, who was saying it earlier? I think it was Fast Abdul was saying the dingo got his crypto. So that might be an easier way to get around it. Oh yeah, here it
that's
is.
Right. Yeah, that's the boating accident in Australia.
Yeah.
It's just that the dingo took my crypto.
Yeah, bloody dingoes. Blobfish King, how are you? Thanks for coming in.
The blobfish from the depth.
That's it. Claz is talking about farms here. Someone else's job can be the butcher and the caretaker. She just wants to peruse the surroundings. That sounds like a pretty easy going way to have a farm. Hey, not do anything, but just have the farm.
Well, someone has to stitch people up when they hurt themselves. Class.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That is the Citadel, isn't it? Oh, it's all happening
in the new world. Yes.
Yeah.
We need.
The walkie-talkies definitely a lost fun technology. Yeah, we use them a lot where I am. Just the kids, or I like to use them for driving, stuff like that, quite a bit, and they're bloody handy. I was going to say about the range 43, the general UHF, like with the 5 watt, I've had them reach like over 60 Ks before with a good antenna.
Oh,
so
really? From your car.
Picked up people. Yeah. I've picked up people talking.
Is that because they've got repeater towers, or?
Well, unless there is one in this specific location where it happens, but I can hear people from, you know, a major city, and I'm quite far away.
Wow.
So unless there is a repeater, but I'm just using the old channel 40, not sort of, so
that's crazy.
interesting stuff. But yeah, there's a fair bit of difference.
Obviously not transmitting your seed phrase over that.
No, I only give away couple on there. Usually it's put ding ding because of all the Indian truck drivers that are around. Sorry anyone in the chat.
Tripoli doesn't have any crypto anyway. We've already established the dingo took his ledger and his treasures. Yeah,
exactly. They dug it out the backyard. That's exactly right. PulseChain altcoin talk. Oh yeah, this guy was enjoying your TA session last week, Dozza. But he reckons Trump's gonna gig ascend soon.
Yeah, look, those ones had pretty low liquidity. Is the only thing I would say. So yeah. Anyway, we can check it out later. Yeah.
Hey Finbear, you're a bit late. Good morning, but you're a bit late for the chicken chat. We had a fair bit of chicken chat earlier.
Yes, we needed Finbear to tell us actually what's up.
Exactly. Yeah, we might need to have him on for that, eh? Black Swan Swimming, first time here. Thanks for commenting on the.
Hey, there you
chat.
go.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
He might be from my neck of the woods, because that's the funny thing whenever people talk about Black Swan events. It's like from where I am in Western Australia, all of our swans are black. Like, we don't see white swans; they're just all black. So, if we go down the Swan River, we have the Swan River. If you saw a white swan, like that would be a white swan event. Like it would just be what. So it kind of doesn't make sense when people talk about that. So I wonder if he is from WA anyway.
Yeah, that's cool. Clyde's talking about the injuries. I wonder, is Clyde's any good with pets doing vet work? That would be needed as well. So
she can stitch up anyone and anything, I think, man.
Yeah, that's it. Figuratively as well, stitch ups.
No.
Finbear's got 8 new birds. Very nice. Good work. This I was going to talk one more thing about Gary Gensler.
Can kind of make scones.
And the scones. Yeah, she can kind of make scones. Nice one.
Sweet. Well, we'll have the butter, fresh butter. So.
Oh yeah, yep, that'd go nicely. So did you guys see this article? It was about Gary Gensler. They're saying that basically when there is a change in the politics, and someone else gets in as president, usually the chair of the SEC sort of bails out anyway. So that's kind of interesting.
I'd be worried where he goes. Where would he go?
Oh God,
Treasury.
Yeah,
I'd be worried, man. I'd be worried where that guy goes.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, actually. He's not a good faith actor. He's just not. No. I would be worried where that guy goes. If he goes to Treasury, that wouldn't be a good outcome for the world. That's true. I mean, it'd be nice if he just upped and left the whole thing altogether, wouldn't it? But if he stays in and goes for something else, that would be shocking. Because where are we? There was, he was saying here, Trump's running mate, JD Vance slammed Gensler as the worst person to regulate crypto assets, saying he had a backward and over politicized approach to crypto policy. We've talked about that before, but that goes without saying. He that's just crypto no for him.
That's interesting that he appointed JD Vance, because if you could have kind of put that conspiracy mindset hat on and you kind of say, well, if someone from the deep state or whatever was trying to assassinate Trump, if he puts in a vice president that is part of the deep state or part of someone that they endorse or someone that's like on, like, I don't know, let's say he's connected in some way to BlackRock or whatever, then that encourages them to take shots at Trump, because then they get their man in. So by him choosing JD Vance, it's almost like an insurance protection, like sort of saying, well, if you get rid of me, you get this guy. Yeah, he's not on your team either.
Yeah, so okay. Yeah.
That's an interesting, because he would have had to choose very carefully who his VP was, right?
Definitely.
As that's insurance, true. Just from an insurance point of view.
No, good point. Yeah. Hey, I just noticed there. Look at Matty Allen sitting over there on the right hand side, right-hand side of that page. No, just joking. We love you.
You've got the Bitcoin conference already.
Yeah, right. That's right. No, we love you, Matty. Just joking. That's funny stuff.
Guys, I'm gonna dip out. Good chat
No
to
worries.
you, and later to everyone in the chat. I will see you guys next week.
Cool, man. Sounds
Catch
good.
you at 43. Have a good weekend, mate.
You too, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, bro.
I should have mentioned it before he left, but I was actually thinking earlier today about how much I miss the Hex Late Show, tuning in and listening to all the guys on there. So, and even the intro, I can still hear the intro song in my head, if I think about it. So, yeah, really good stuff. 43 smashed out some episodes of that. That's for sure over the time.
Yeah. Where is the dingo? Indeed.
Yeah.
Dingo Wolf, where are you, bro?
Yeah, exactly.
But look, I mean, we've sort of tried our best to continue the legacy of the Late Show, the Hex Late Show. I mean, this is 47 episodes deep.
Yeah.
So it's nearly a year. And like I say, I've consumed nearly 2 cartons of beer on stream live.
Yep.
For everyone's entertainment. So that's pretty good.
No, definitely consistent. We got some good consistency going on, and it's always good fun having different people on here. So we love it. And the chat, everyone's getting involved in the chat. Even feels a lot more these days. People coming in regularly and keeping us going and giving us more to talk about. So that's always good. I liked Fast Abdul here. Yeah, he prefers US dollars for his crime deals.
I like that as well.
Yeah.
That was funny.
So
look, we should get him on. We keep saying it, but it's hard for me to get the invite codes and everything. But just briefly to talk about his 2 fucks thing.
Yeah.
He's got that thing going on. So, but if it is like 1 a.m. for him, he's probably in bed, just drifting off, listening to our dulcet tones of the voices.
That's it. If I know we don't have much longer left, but I will. I'll send him the link just in case he's sitting there doing nothing and wants to jump in.
He's still there, man. Let's talk bribes. He's still there. So if he's still awake, get him on and we can have a look at his protocol because I know nothing about it.
And
I've
used the PHUX protocol before and have a little bit sitting on there, but I've put some stuff over to the 2 fucks one, and it seems to work well. Haven't had any issues, and there's definitely some rewards coming in, so it's always nice.
I had a fucks LP position, I think with the I think it was the Maximus stuff, or it was the Alex's ones with all the Icosa Hedrons, and so that was pretty good for a while. But there's hardly any liquidity in those like the P Icosa, P Hedron, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that was a bit disappointing for me.
Yeah.
So I still like those. I like P Icosa. I think that's cool. So
I'm into it. Definitely. I've got some stakes sitting there that are just ticking away and keeping a good T-share rate. That was always my game plan with it, just to instead of constantly ending them and adding to them, just sort of let them sit there. So it keeps the good T-share rate for the future when Icosa sort of starts moving again, which hopefully that protocol takes off. Have you heard anything about that recently? Is Alex still alive? I know he's busy building stuff, but is there heard anything on the Hedron Icosa stuff?
My gut feeling is Alex is just one of those people that likes to talk about things once they're done.
Yeah.
And I think Richard Hart learned that lesson, right? Like,
that's it.
Software is hard. It always gets pushed back. And if you give people timelines and then you don't meet those timelines, then you get shit for it. And it's like it's out of your control. So you're better off to just wait for it to be done. And then you can say, hey, guess what I did? Rather than guess what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
I tend to do that as well. I don't tend to talk about achievements that I haven't actually done yet. Like I'm going to do this and I'm planning on this. And it's like, yeah, that's great, but actually do it. And then you can show me, like, because everyone has the potential to do anything at any given time. But it's only once it's done that you can say, hey, check this out.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. And I think it's better for the community as well, just to know that it's a finished product rather than everyone speculating on different stuff and making up what they think is going to happen and whatever. Yeah, it's a good way to just let it sit until it's done. But yeah, I look forward to see what he's bringing out.
Yeah, yeah. And look, I was going to say with the Ethereum ETF, apparently Grayscale had dumped $484 million worth of Ethereum on basically like through the ETF. Like or either that or they just dumped it on the day that the ETF went live.
Yeah, I think it was...
Isn't that crazy? Grayscale basically just took that as an opportunity to dump a bunch of Ethereum. So,
well, those sort of players will, you know, almost be able to be market makers at some point because of their holdings. But with the ETF, that's what I don't get. The outflow of the ETF, wouldn't that mean they would have had to have bought it in the beginning? So that much, as in through the ETF, or is it just through Ethereum?
Not sure, bro. I think, they would have had to. They already had a massive trust full of, you know, Ethereum, and then so I guess they just sold a bunch of it on the day that the ETF went live. Is that what happened? Yeah, but it looks like you've got Fast Abdul down here.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, let's bring him on. Hey, far out, man. That was quick.
Hey, lads.
You get up and get a suit on just for us.
Hey, you know, I was just wearing my suit, hanging out of my boxing ring, and I thought we should have a chat. That's great.
There you go.
Nice to meet you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on, man. That's awesome, and that was super quick. So, cheers to you, sir.
That's why they call me Fast Abdul.
There you go. Lived up to your namesake. So, if we gave you a bit of a, you know, too long didn't read, if you could give us like a synopsis of the 2FUCKS protocol, because I don't. Sure. I mean, I would have to say I don't know anything about it. Apart from that, you can get twice the yield, and I was intrigued by that. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can tell us a little bit.
That's a popular thing for sure. Yeah. The 2FUCKS, you probably know more about it than you think, just because you guys have been around crypto for a bit. And 2FUCKS is a fork of Convex from Ethereum.
Okay. I haven't heard of that.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
So,
and just quickly on that, FUCKS is what's that a fork of? That's a
balancer.
Balancer, yeah, exactly. Yep, cool. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll start with FUCKS, which is a fork of Balancer V2, and which is like a DEX, and it's a novel type of DEX, very advanced, probably the most advanced, where you can pair up to 8 tokens together. Right.
Yep.
And then they pay out bonus yield on what they call gauge pools, which is just shop talk for incentivized in their FUCKS token. So that's like extra yield on top of the percentage that you're making for providing liquidity. And that is the amount that you get is determined by the number of votes that have gone towards that particular pool. There's like a DAO system where people who have FUCKS tokens can vote for which pool gets the most yield in FUCKS tokens. Okay. And then there's also a bonus factor. If you have a whole bunch of FUCKS tokens and you have them staked in the contract and locked for a year, you can get up to 2.5 times more yield.
Righto. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So what 2FUCKS does is we have lots of FUCKS tokens, like $1 million worth, locked in our contract permanently. They can never be sold again. And they're always staked for a year inside the FUCKS protocol. So when you use the 2FUCKS front end for the FUCKS exchange, it's like our wallet with $1 million worth of FUCKS is your wallet, and you'll get a bonus based on that. Right?
Yeah.
So that's one part of it. The other part is that $1 million worth of FUCKS gives us a huge amount of the voting power. We actually currently have 70% of all the votes on the FUCKS exchange are controlled solely by the holders of the 2FUX tokens, which is our ecosystem token. So when you participate with 2FUX, you lock your 2FUX tokens, which gives you some yield. But the main thing it gives you is lots of voting power. So it's actually the most direct way to vote on, as far as like, money in, money out. The most direct way to get the most yield on the FUX exchange is both by using the 2FUX front end and by using the 2FUX voting power to vote for the pool that you're interested in is much greater than you'd be able to obtain by yourself. And one of those things, you have to participate with the protocol. Like for the voting, you need the 2FUX token. But for the yield boost, anybody can do it, and there's no charge. You just come and use our front end. The protocol does take some of your yield, but in return, it gives you the 2FUX token. And you end up getting, actually, it's quite a bit more yield than anybody could get by themselves without using our front end.
Yep, that's awesome.
Okay. And
are you bringing the pools up? Yeah,
I've just pulled this up real quick. So these pools here, so you can just stake your LP tokens as your
And the LP tokens are the same LP tokens from the FUX exchange.
From
right?
FUX.
So they are, and you're staking them via our front end, but the funds never leave the FUX exchange, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all, your funds are always on the FUX exchange, which is very established. And we're getting towards being established now too. And it's very, very safe in that regards. This is stuff that's been audited by us, of course, but also on Ethereum many times for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Bug bounties, the whole bit, right? Convex is one of the biggest protocols on Ethereum with billions of dollars locked in it. We haven't hit the billions of dollars yet, but we've surpassed the millions of dollars by quite a bit. So, so far, so good.
Yeah, no, it's great. I've moved some, FUX positions over as well, and I was surprised at how smooth it was and how easy it was. A
couple buttons, like unstake and restake, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. No, very nice. Done well to make it really smooth, and it's a great looking front end too. You've got there. I know you've been working hard at it. I tune into to Randy's group and stuff a little bit, and your chat's on there, so it's all really great information.
Guys, so this one just about killed me. Like Yellow Cake, my partner, and I, like we bit off the biggest piece we possibly could. We could have forked Liquidity or made like a simple DEX like Pancake Swap like 20 times with the amount of work it took to do this. So
definitely,
we're really happy with it though. It's way better than we'd even dreamed.
That's cool.
So if you created if you added a liquidity position here, and then you took those tokens and then you stake them using your front end.
Yep.
And then so what's this lock? What's the lock thing here? Is that
the lock portion is specific to the 2FUX token, right?
Yes.
So you lock, it's a 16-week lock, which is the same as the protocol on Ethereum. And during that locking time, you get yield, and you also get the ability to vote.
Cool.
So the I think the reason that it's 16 weeks is to prevent people from trying to game the system, right? Like you can't come in a week before, and there's sort of like there's a delay by the time you lock till you can do your first vote. Like it's all set up because on Ethereum, you're talking about millions, sometimes billions of dollars that are being moved around, right? Like it's like on Ethereum, there's Convex, which is built on top of Curve, and then a fork of Convex is Aura Finance, which is built on top of Balancer. Like those are like huge dexes moving millions of dollars in yield and everything like every day. So there's a lot of work that went into making it so it's hard to game those things.
Awesome. Look, it's pretty cool, man. I think people can have a play with it. I'll put the
thank you
link in the chat.
Yeah. It's probably a little advanced for some, but like the general concept of your yield farming, you're getting paid in 2 tokens instead of 1, and you're probably getting more yield than if you did it by yourself just on that exchange. And yield farming is, not financial advice here, but it's like that's something that you need to do research on because there's impermanent loss and there's all kinds of other dangers, right?
Yeah.
But it's
not as bad as what people think, though.
No,
I
I
find.
don't think so. Well, especially if you're getting 100% APR, which you are on some of those pools, unlike good stuff, like on blue chip things by PulseChain standards. If you're getting 100% APR on something, then you can put that APR against the impermanent loss, right? So if your impermanent loss puts you down 20%, but you took in 80 or 100% in other tokens, then you're ahead by 80%. It's not terrible.
For sure, man. There's the Pulse coin list have been working on I've actually been helping them a little bit with a impermanent loss calculator.
Yeah.
And I'll just bring it up. It's really cool. And it kind of tells you, like, so this is, I guess, if you're yield farming and you're trying to see whether or not your impermanent loss is going to be, greater or, less than the interest that you're accruing, you can just kind of put in, like, so say, for example, you had like, I don't know, say like three Ethereum at, or let's just say $3,000 or whatever. Let's make it 4 ETH. And then I think the numbers I was looking at was like 300 million Pulse at like 0.404, something like that.
Yep.
And then if the future price went to like 3,500, so if ETH or whatever, then the future price of the Pulse, that should be 4 zeros here. So in this example, so you got 4 ETH and 300 million Pulse and then so the ETH has gone up by $500.
Yep.
And then so your interest earned is about $138 and your impermanent loss was $71. So then the difference, like if you had just held it, it would be say 26 grand or whatever. And then, but if you had have put it in, you would have lost $71 worth of impermanent loss, but you would have earned $138 worth of interest. So the difference is a $61 gain.
Nice.
So
what if we change that APR number? What if we bump that APR number up higher?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like 42%, right? And this is just in a 7-day period as well, I should say. This is just in 1 week. So yeah, if you crank up the APR, because I think the wrapped ETH, wrapped Pulse APR is about 40%, then those numbers change. And then in a week, it would be, the difference is, even with the impermanent loss, the accrued ink would offset that and you would still be up $116. So you can play around with those numbers with a good impermanent loss calculator.
Yeah.
And it's not as bad as what people, because people, the problem is that people think, yeah, but if one of them does like a 5x, then, your impermanent loss is whatever. And you go, yeah, but like how fast is it going to do a 5x differential between those two assets? You would see them start running against them and you could pull it. You don't have to hit a 5x before you turn around and go, oh no, I've lost 20%.
And were you going to hold through the 5x anyway, or were you going to sell it at 3x, or what were you going to do? Were you really going to sell at the very top of that 5x, or were you going to sell halfway down the other side? Whereas the farming position is like, I put this in, I don't look at it, I take this yield, and there's kind of an in-between road. And for a lot of people, it can be about like, well, I can't afford to keep this money in crypto unless I can take something out on a regular basis. And the yield farming can add that, where some people would have to like sell their bag. This might be an option to keep your bag and be like, well, I could take out $100 a week and that's enough. And I don't have to take out the $10,000 or whatever the case may be, where some people might have to start biting into their bag to, keep things going on the home front. Right. So there's different reasons.
Definitely.
This is just an example of impermanent loss. So if this is the difference between the two assets, like if there was like a 2x price change between them. So in our example, if the price of Pulse stayed the same and ETH went from 3.5 grand to 7 grand, the impermanent loss is only 5.7%. It's not that high. Like a 5x is 25% loss.
Yeah.
But you'd be how fast is ETH going to go to 7K? Like
Probably not tomorrow.
It's not happening in the next week. I can tell you.
I don't think so. No.
So yeah, you might lose. So say the price goes up by a 1.25 price change between them, and you're losing 0.6% in a week. Yeah, but if your ink accrued outweighs that, then you're still better off.
Exactly.
So,
And realistically on these big pools, if ETH goes up, it's going to pull Pulse up with it. If Pulse goes up, it's going to pull up PulseX. All these things are so bonded with liquidity that, if Pulse goes up, it's going to pull everything up with it. Almost everything on the entire chain is, connected to Pulse in a very serious way. Exactly. Some things will get left behind, mostly just stable coins though. That's the one I think people have to be conscious of right now is this the best time to have stables in your mix? And there's some great, there's one pool on 2Fox is paying 250% that is half Pulse and half Coast stablecoin, I think, or something like that.
Okay.
And it's it's so good that it's pretty tempting. But if the price of Pulse doubles, the price of the stablecoin will not double, right?
Exactly.
It won't go up by 10%
against each other. Yeah,
it's you'll just end up with more stablecoins, right? So you'd lose if the price of Pulse doubled, you effectively lose half that double to the stablecoin, right? And you have more of the stablecoin, you still made money, but whereas if you're in something that has, there's some really nice pools we have that have Pulse and PulseX paired with Hedron and Icosa. These things are going to run up together because they're kind of attached to each other in concept.
Yeah.
Those are great because one of those things doubles, the other thing is going to have some serious action.
I mean, look at this. This is the wrapped ETH wrapped Pulse, and we were talking about this earlier. How the impermanent loss would be quite low here because it's sort of tracking together, pretty much sideways. But then say, if you're at the top of a market or a local top or whatever, and then you wanted to actually take some profits, well, then you could put your Pulse in a stablecoin pool. So then that way you're actually selling into stablecoins as the price goes up, and then you're taking some profits. So, and you're earning ink for the privilege as well.
Cool.
So,
but is now the right time to do that with Pulse at the price of that it is? That's kind of the question.
No, I wouldn't. Right? Yeah, I wouldn't go stablecoin pools at the bottom. No way. No.
But at the top, then that's fantastic because then you're exiting a position without hurting the chart, and taking some yield as you go, right? And always when you're in a position like that, if something happens, you're I need money now. You can pull your liquidity, and you'll end up with the stablecoin half will just be right there in your wallet, right? So there's a safety in having some stablecoins available at any given time. And so on things like that pool with Coast, it's I'm tempted to maybe keep a little stash bag in there, so that I could, if I needed some stable coins, I could pull that. And in the meantime, I'm making 250%. It's not that terrible. Though I realize that there's some risk if Pulse doubles in price of serious impermanent loss. But, 250% offsets it by a lot.
That's right.
Yeah.
I reckon also a good way to look at the stables is, most people would hopefully have some money aside for savings or for emergency. You can make some good yield just on that sort of stash if you want to put some money away, so you can pull it out and you like to have something there for safety. You could be making yield on it at the same time. So rather than sitting there stale or in a bank account where you're usually getting fees and it's getting eaten away at, you can put it in there and take it out.
We do have to say that there is contract risk, right? So every time that we play around with yield farms and obviously with the 2Fox front end as well, there's contract risk, right? So that's why it's nice to see that you're like a doxed, founder. I presume you're the founder, but it's nice to see put a face to the name and to sort of, like you say, you put a lot of effort into the code, and then I think people have trust the Fox ecosystem as well.
Yeah.
So there is a level of contract risk in doing this. So it's nice to
So like what you're talking about with docs founders and stuff, that's not about contract risk. That's about people risk, right? Like, like the code is the code is the code. And with what we've done, which is like a one-to-one fork of something from Ethereum, we actually forked something called Aura Finance. That's the one that works with Balancer. Aura Finance was a fork of Convex that works with Curve. Like these things, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in audits. We use the same code on the back end. Front end code's a little bit different because it had to be, and things like that to make it work with the PulseChain. But like the contract risk of something like this or something like Liquid Loans, which is a fork of Liquidity, they're like realistically from like educated standpoint, there's almost no contract risk in some of these really, really known, very audited protocols. There's
certainly minimized, like as low as it can go. Yeah,
much more likely that the risk would be in human error somewhere along the line. So obviously there's like direct scams. That's something to watch out for. But more, it's like you're pressing buttons, you're moving things around, you're making LP tokens, and you're sending them places. Did you send something to the wrong place, right? Or did like you're anytime you're moving around large quantities of money, and we get like it almost starts to seem normal after a while. Be like, oh, I'm going to send $20,000 from this wallet to that wallet because that's my farming wallet. And it's like, if you were walking down the street with $20,000 in your pocket, would it be that casual, or would you be like, what?
Yeah, you'd be thinking, hang on.
You'd be concerned, 100%. Right? So I think people, I've seen a lot of people press the buttons really fast, and I'll be trying to teach them. It'll be like, oh, now this one, now I have liquidity. No, like, don't just like
slow down.
You're moving $20,000. Let's just press.
Do a test transaction. I think that's always a good idea if you're going to start moving large funds between wallets. Just do a test transaction.
Yeah, definitely.
Common sense. Make sure you're copying the right address. Don't rely on clipboards and shit. You don't know.
And like links, like the big one, of course, is like scammers that have reached out to people via Telegram rooms and stuff like that. Like a lot of people are like, you could get a message from Fast Abdul, and there's been many Fast Abduls over the past 2 years who are fake.
No doubt.
And because I'm in admin in like some of the bigger Telegram rooms on PulseChain, so people will copy that name, they'll copy the picture that I use. It's very common. So, and then they'll send like, oh, here's a link to validate your wallet because you said you were having a problem in chat. This is going to fix it, or like anything like that. So like, but if they slow, and sometimes people get hit by those things and their wallets get drained, or hopefully they don't lose everything. Usually it's not everything, but like if they slowed down and thought about it, right, and looked at it, like because there's always a tip off. Like there's always a way.
Yeah, you never need to click links. That's the thing. It's like you can like I could find you on Twitter easy enough, and then I knew that it was like this is the legit 2FUCK site,
Yeah.
So there's things like that. You could just common sense. You go, I'll just double check that it's the link I'm going to is correct.
And if it seems too good to be true, probably it's not. And that holds true for most of life, right? Like, if somebody's like, oh, you qualify for, a $10,000 airdrop, please follow these instructions. Be like, if that doesn't seem like it's, like it
probably is,
you deserve it for some reason, then, if you weren't working towards that and set yourself up for the last 8 months to qualify for said $10,000 airdrop, probably it's not real, right?
Yeah,
and that's just one of the scams. There's so many. We just saw the Pulse Latina thing. You guys see that?
Oh yeah. That's crazy.
Which is brutal. And like people, people should have looked closer and all that kind of stuff. But there was like honestly, it didn't look that bad from the outside. The actual project
did a pretty good job from a long con point of view to
definitely
have the videos, because people kind of go, oh, this person, this woman is definitely a guy. Like you just say that's 100% a guy.
Sure.
But then hang on, they had an actress.
It was a real person. Yeah,
it was a real person.
Or seemed like that, right?
It was like, it's not AI. Oh, that's a bit odd. And then so it drew people in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the actual code of the project was real, right? Like they were a fork of SushiSwap, like MasterChef Contract, which is the same thing as PulseX, which is the same thing as 9inch. Like like it was real, right? Like
Yeah,
they could have kept it going and it would have worked, to some degree at the very least. Like they could have actually been successful. It could have been a successful project with this actress as the front person, and it could have been not a scam. Like they could have just kept it going. Like the code was real. They just had backdoors in the code that not only allowed them to steal, to dump the chart kind of thing of the tokens, which is, pretty common, but to actually steal the liquidity that people put in, which is not common, right?
So obviously that was never audited, right? That Pulse Latina code was never audited. Otherwise they would have found those backdoors, right?
Somebody mentioned that it was audited, but then it was changed after the audit.
Holy crap.
Which is not like, it's not a big stretch, right? Because like, what does any of that even mean, to somebody who's not initiated, right? Like, how would you know that the code was changed after the audit or not?
That's a good point. Yeah.
And often the code is changed after the audit because the audit will be like, oh, there's these problems, you should fix them.
Sure.
And then you do, right? And then, there might be a follow-up, re-audit or something like that, but there might not. So there is a lot of trust here for a normal person to participate in these things, because it's even the audits themselves are not foolproof. Like the audits are performed by people like other devs, right? Perform the audits, right? And we had some audits done, and then our devs caught stuff that the audit devs didn't, and then we got another audit done. It's not foolproof.
Yeah.
And there's different degrees of problems. Like most things aren't like, drain your wallet, everything explodes. Most things are, minor user interface errors. It's not, not that thing, especially when you're forking code. But this was a very deliberate attempt to steal everybody's money. So it's a little bit different, right?
That's crazy. Just while we've got you, because I know that we probably have to wrap up soon, but you've obviously been around crypto a long time, and you probably have a lot of insights into markets and maybe other markets as well.
Okay.
So how do you sort of see what's going on with like the politics at the moment, and then moving into like China's just done, I think, the second consecutive interest rate cuts, and then so there might be some interest rate cuts maybe by the American Fed in September. People are sort of starting to price that in, and then there's this idea that when interest rates start getting cut, that everything's going to dump. But then there's also this thing, like I think Somi talks about, the altcoin sort of all-time high is about 12 months after the halving. So that puts it around April next year. But there doesn't seem enough time to be able to, for say, let's just talk about Bitcoin, to do like a massive dump once people start cutting, or countries start cutting interest rates, and then also to sort of pump up enough, like, so maybe by November to reach through that 70K, kind of go up to 80, 90K.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point there has to be like a transition where the Bitcoin dominance goes down, and then the altcoins have to sort of pump. It seems like it's too early for April next year to be, like the pico top of the altcoin market. Because like I think it's total 2 is still around about a trillion. It's still below previous cycles all-time high. It just seems like we've still got a way to go before the altcoins sort of start pumping. And then also with that context in mind, how do you think RH or say the SAC wallets are going to start to deploy? How do you think the PulseChain ecosystem is going to start to peak? And what are your sort of thoughts on timeframes?
I'm with you.
This is my question.
I think the this time is different is famous last words, like it's when you're on the inside looking out, like I think it's hard to see that big picture. But like this time is different, has lost a lot of people, a lot of money. Right. I think we shouldn't necessarily assume that that is the case, though. Like it certainly could be. I think the world's changing and everything looks a little bit different, but if anything, we're going to see less volatility and stuff like crypto, though it's still an insanely volatile asset, but less than it was before. So I think when we start asking about what's the Bitcoin high, the more interesting question is what's the next Bitcoin low, right? So meaning that, like, let's say by December it hits 120 grand and then it starts to go down, right? And when it starts to go down, that's when it shifts into Ethereum, right? Like Bitcoin bounced off 120 and now it's, 114 and it's shifting into Ethereum, and then it shifts into the altcoins in somewhere between February and April, right? So, and then, then that's the, we've seen the 120 is the top of the Bitcoin market. And then we start to see the top of the altcoin market in that, February, March, April kind of range. But then what's the bottom of Bitcoin? Does it go down to 35, right? We won't see 15 again. What if we saw, what if the next bottom for Bitcoin was 80, right? That would be something. Everything would look different.
For sure. Yeah.
And that might be your super season.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see it sit there for a bottom, wouldn't it, for the next bear market? Yeah.
Yeah. And not financial advice. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I think the volatility with BlackRock coming in with all these ETFs and stuff like that is going to be less than it was in the past. Now, when these people are coming in right now, they're just coming in for Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? Yeah. So when we look at the altcoins, which, the PulseChain and everything on it are kind of part of, that the rules are different there, right? Because like the less volatility for Bitcoin, less volatility for Ethereum, that doesn't account for that there are, 1,000 times more tokens than there were last, the last bull run, right?
Exactly.
So for us, we could see even more volatility. But I think for Bitcoin and Ethereum, then it might be that a situation. It might be where, we see that 120 to 150 grand top, and then the low is down 50% instead of 80%. And we never see below 40 grand again or below 50 grand again, or, it could be a way different ride this time. As far as Bitcoin goes. Now, as far as like meme coin number 47 goes, no, your ride might be very similar. It could go down to zero, right? So we have to remember what we're doing, why we're here. But I think we're starting to see already there's a shift from meme coins to utility, and that's going to continue as we move towards, the top of the bull market.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. Thank you so much for that answer. I apologize. I've actually got someone here. I've got to disappear, but I'll listen back to that later. And I really value what you had to say there. So I really do want to actually listen to what you said. So thanks for answering that. Thanks for coming on, man. I'll let you guys keep going, or I think maybe Triple is probably going to wrap it up soon, but I've got to disappear.
That's cool.
Thanks again, Fast Abdul, for that. I really appreciate it.
Well, good to meet you, Joseph. Take care.
No worries. Thanks, chat. I'll catch you guys later as well.
Catch you, Dozer. See you, man. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting the way everything's moving at the moment, and then we've still got in regards to the Richard Hart ecosystem, we've still got his court case, and the trial to get through there, and we'll see if the positive news, if we get positive news soon, then it could really start to rocket up and go with, or faster than Ethereum and things like that. But what do you think about that upcoming sort of case and everything to do with moving forward with PulseChain?
I think as far as the case goes, there's really no bad news as long as the case moves forward. So best case scenario, the SEC gets shut down and has to pay Richard all this money, and possibly has to pay users of the PulseChain money because they illegally sued us and made the number go down. Okay, that probably won't happen, maybe somewhere in the middle. But worst case scenario is they decide Richard Hart is, was selling unregistered securities and he owes some silly number, $15 million, and he has to pay it. And usually those fines are not they're not that outlandish when you actually see the numbers they're talking about. So he can actually afford to pay $15 million. He pays it and it's done. And we move on, and he starts showing up for work again, which is the thing that we really need, right? It's I can go on the screen all day, but I'm never going to carry the same weight that he does. and
Definitely.
and not be able to be like the dynamic character that we need to lead a chain, not just a token. Now it's like a chain, right? So
Exactly.
if he starts being on the screen like he used to be, like, 3 days a week, and as well as tweeting more openly, and he's picking up on the tweets, they're getting hot and heavy, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, but like if he comes back full force, even if everything went as bad as possible with the SEC, but he starts to be here every day, man, like we're game on. Like, that's why I'm here.
I agree. That's what we're all waiting for, isn't it? And his comeback streams, yeah, we definitely need him back, front and face of PulseChain and Hex, that's for sure. And also the whole crypto market as a whole, the whole industry, if you want to call it that. He's a leader, and we need a leader like him. And I think if he gets through this case, and whether he puts it to rest with money or he manages to, with his lawyers, make it go away in a better way, I think people will see him as a leader, and he'll get not just the fame from getting through this, but also really get the respect that he stuck it out, and that he was always telling the truth, and that he's a good player in the scene. I think that's really what we need. But yeah, looking at his you were saying about his Twitter and his tweets lately, or that's how it says it's not him that tweets, but we probably all think it is. But some of the stuff that he's been going, or whoever uses his account has been going quite hard there. Just really, really talking about forward-looking, price statements or expectations and things like that. So I'm not going to read them out, but if anyone wants to jump on Richard Hart's Twitter, if you haven't seen it yet, jump on there and read them, because they're all like mic drop, type truths coming through there. So yeah, I think he knows what he's doing, and I think he always has. And I think it needed to happen to cement PulseChain as a trustable, as much as you can't trust it everything completely with crypto, it will form a big trust towards that ecosystem and really bring the troops over.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely very excited about it. Red Squirrel saying he won't take the fine and move on. Yeah, I'd like to hope that he doesn't.
He'll fight it. Yeah, I think he will.
It'll be nice if he just fights it and just can carry the torch afterwards. I think it'll be pretty amazing.
Look at what we built without him, right? Basically, right? Like he was basically not here this entire time, and we had this like thriving chain with like multiple teams who are pumping out like good stuff. Like basically all the good stuff from Ethereum is here now, and there's more coming. And there's innovation, there's new things, there's interesting things, there's complete cultures, right? Some of them are toxic, some of them aren't, but they're like most of them aren't boring. And there's huge groups of like everything from like cheerleaders to cult members that are belong to various things, but they all kind of come together to root for Richard Hart, right? So like when he does come back, and all this stuff that was built in his absence is there, and now he can drive the ship. Like I think the destination is going to change sharply to the north.
I think so, that's for sure. And regarding like the community, how there is a bit of segregation and stuff, that happens in every sort of everything in life. But I think the way I look at it is, if you were to see any of these people like at a bar, you walk in, everyone would still shake hands and we'd all get along. It's just people are bored, people have too much time on their hands. Maybe the only people that wouldn't might be B-Roots and the Tang Gang guys. Maybe if they got together, there probably might not be handshakes. There might be. You never know.
It's some, like there's always outliers, but like, I've had conversations with most of those guys at one point or another, and I think there's sharp people all over the place, and that when you see like the strength of some of these cults, right? Like how far they're willing to go on Twitter mostly, but still like is like, like it's kind of impressive in its way, right? It's not how I want to build things. Like I want to work with other protocols, like Yellow Cake and I, we're we're reaching out to as many other protocols and teams as we can to work together to make our project better and hopefully to make their projects better. Like we're talking to people who are coming out with new tokens about, oh, okay, can you get a pool on 2Fox so that we can do this for you? And, we'll coach you through how to do this. And, we're coming out with a new thing we're calling the Camel Clan, where we're giving out free meme tokens to people who participate in liquidity pairs and stuff like that. And we want other protocols in on it. Like we're talking to the 9-inch guys and like, oh, it's maybe Hexy Bastard's going to launch a meme coin for us that we can use for our project too. Like, like we want to tie in with these other groups that are fighting to make the PulseChain better. Right. So, hey, I think that's going to be the win, is actually that. And the climate's starting to change. People are starting to be a little nicer to each other the last 3-4 months, I think.
I agree. I think it's a healthy thing to have everything, the highs and the lows in the community, and the little bit of arguing or stuff like that. I think it's very healthy at the end of the day. And we got to remember, it all started with Hex and people, and that basically was like a cult. So then now that there's PulseChain, there's just separate ones building. I think it's all really good. So what's next for the 2Fox, or are you looking at doing anything, any other projects, or is it just continue to develop 2Fox, or what's the story with you?
All of the above are true. Yellowcake and I are still looking at building other things on the PulseChain and possibly multi-chain stuff. But for 2Fox in particular, we have some, additional items that we want to attach to it. We're just on the edge. And I mean, like, I was doing live testing right before I came on with you of launching our Camel Clan project, which is going to set it up so communities can add additional tokens as bonus yield on top of the existing yield farm pools, right? Wow, so it could be awesome. A meme coin like, that we launch, or that somebody else's launches that we're participating with, that gets added as bonus yield. Or it could be a protocol or a team that has multiple tokens that wants to incentivize their old liquidity pool with their new token, right? Like something with actual utility, perhaps, that we could tie into. So we're going to have that right away, like hopefully next week. But then the next thing that we want to finish is our Briberry project. That's like BRI, then Berry, which is going to be a setup where people can sell their votes that they have on 2Fox, because 2Fox has that 70% of voting power. They'll be able to sell their votes to interested parties, who are going to be mostly whales and founders, that sort of thing, to vote on a specific pool in return for a bribe, right? Wow, and that's cool. That'll be in the form of a bid that people will put up. So they'll put up a bid like, I'll pay this much per vote, and this is what you're voting for. You'll get to see where your vote goes, right? Right. Yep. And decide to take it or not. And it'll be a list. It won't be, you don't have to take the top one, the guy who's paying the most. You can go down the list, find the one you're probably going to vote for anyway, right? Yeah. And even if it's less, and then you take it. So that's that sounds complicated, but it's way less complicated than our actual current protocol. So it'll probably only take us a couple more months to finish that. We've already broken ground on that guy. And then that's going to add a lot of value to the ecosystem, though, because it's new money, right? Like it's not pulling from anywhere else where money's currently coming from. It'll be all extra money thrown on top, right? So I think people will really like that.
That's awesome. The voting is definitely very important to, getting the pools up there, and people that, that are good actors in it, or it's their token, or, they're a founder or whatever. If they want to secure those votes, it'll definitely be a good incentive. And so that Camel Clan is further incentivizing people to basically LP. It's like, so you already get rewards, and then you can get these other ones on top, but it doesn't guarantee that.
It's something to talk about. Like it's having a little bit of fun. Like meme coins are a thing. And like, I'm not really into meme coins, to tell you the truth, but it'd be foolish not to see the economic energy that's being moved there and not bring that to the community if you could. So we have this concentrated audience of like, basically these people who are providing liquidity, who understand things like liquidity, that probably have more than a couple pennies to rub together. And like, if we can get them involved in meme coins, then, that's probably going to be more interesting than if it was a different community that, didn't have that audience. And if we can bring people who are and this is the part I'm really interested in. If we can bring people in who come for the meme coins, then they're going to stay for the DeFi, right?
That's right.
We'd be like, oh, Camel Client's launching a new token. I need to get it. Okay, come get it. But then look at all this other stuff we have where you actually can, rub 2 pennies together to make 3 pennies, right? Like, let's sure, be a trader, but then take your profit and put it in this thing that is safe and it works, and where you can earn safe yield on these blue chip tokens. And we want that blue chip yield farming position on the PulseChain, but like we can be part of so many more communities with something like this where we can attach it to things like meme coins, right? Which is it's not boring. And sometimes we just, and because you're on the screen, it's hard sometimes. Sometimes you just need something to talk about.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, definitely. I mean, some people that stream every day, far out, don't know how they do it. It's there's a lot going on, but not always a lot, enough to be able to just come up with new content for every single day. So,
well, I assume you know Somi probably personally, since you're both in Australia. So, how does he do it?
Yeah, no idea, man. He is nuts. The content, and just even down to the meme images he's making, and different stuff on charts, and that it's like that stuff doesn't I know we've got AI now, but it still takes time to put all that together. And to think about what you're going to do. He's a trooper, that's for sure. We've got a lot of respect for what he does. He says he puts in 18 hours a day. So
I think he's a genius on the edge of insanity.
I
think he's clicking really, really fast. Like he's a sharp guy, smarter than almost everybody he meets, I'm sure. But he's like almost on the edge of being a crazy guy because he's so freaking on, right? Can you imagine being that on all the time? Like,
I know,
wow.
I know, he's nuts. I get around a bit around Australia, traveling. So I hope one day that I bump into him and can give him a big hug because, he's a good dude. He puts a lot of effort in.
He does so much for us. People love to hate on him, but we're lucky to have that guy on the team. I do believe he's on the team, honestly.
Yeah. I agree. And I like that he doesn't just talk about Pulse and Hex and that sort of stuff, that he's sort of ventured out, and he's, I know he loves Chainlink and stuff like that, but he's talking about meme coins. That's actually what we need. As much as I love Hex, and that sort of thing, and PulseChain. But we do need people talking on a broader spectrum because it brings them in, and the YouTube algorithms and Twitter and stuff like that. No one's going to see it if they don't find him through what they're interested in.
He probably gets hit more on people searching for Land Wolf or one of the other meme coins that's not PulseChain centric that he talks about than he does people searching for Richard Hart's PulseChain Hex.
100%.
What gets searched more, that or Land Wolf or Pepe or other things that he tags, and his clickbait is awesome. Like his, all his taglines are like hilarious. It might piss off people who are like PulseChain only, but like, how are you going to grow without that?
Exactly.
People don't understand the rules that are being played here sometimes, right? Like you probably do because you're in the game, but like some people are cheerleaders. Like we got Matty Allen only talks about Hex. Okay, that's fine. But like, we can't have everybody just be a cheerleader, and being a cheerleader is actually one of the very hardest jobs. So I respect that. I don't want to do it, but like, if we can get a mad genius who wants to pump our chain and understands the algorithms and will, play them to like magically draw people like into our circle, like, I'll take it.
Exactly. We need a bit of everything, and he does that. And even dollar cost crypto, I love that he talks about other stuff, and you just see the pull he gets, and the amount of viewers and engagement. Like his engagement on YouTube is absolutely nuts. You can't even keep up with the chat. Like it's just out of control. So they're doing very well. I got one more question about 2Fucks, just quickly before we start to wrap it up. Just with the in here when you can convert or mint, so basically you hand in your fucks or your prime fucks tokens, is that right?
Yeah.
And you can mint the prime 2Fucks or the prime fucks. What happens to those tokens?
That's a good question. So Prime Fux is from the Fux exchange, and it's actually an LP token, like a liquidity token that's 80% Fux and 20% Pulse.
Yes.
And on the Fux exchange, it can be unraveled into its parts. So you can just take your Pulse and take your PHUX tokens. But when you bring it to the 2Fux front end and you insert it, you end up getting a prime 2Fux token. And one prime 2Fux token always costs one prime Fux. When you put in just the Fux token, it's basically doing like a swap on the back end to fill in the 20% Pulse, right?
Right.
So,
Okay.
but that is the end result, is that you end up with one prime Fux that's traded for one prime 2Fux. Now, the prime Fux is permanently locked inside the 2Fux protocol. It can never leave. Okay.
Cool.
Because on the Fux exchange, you could take your prime Fux and you could lock it for the maximum benefit. You would always lock it for a year. That would give you the highest boost and the most voting power. So with 2Fux, it's always locked for a year, and it's updated daily to 1 year. Like somebody was just going through and restaking it for a year every day. And then the boosting power is locked in the protocol forever, and the voting power is locked in the protocol forever. That's what you're doing. Now, right now, at this second, like a couple of days ago, that wasn't the case. But right now, you're actually better off trading for prime 2Fux. And the best currency to do that with is, again, prime Fux, because that's the biggest liquidity pool. So right now, it's like you get like 1.2 or 1.3 prime 2Fux for one prime Fux. So that's better. But if there's ever a point where there's like a ceiling, so if the price of prime 2Fux goes above the price of prime Fux, and of course they're going to move up together mostly, but if the price of prime 2Fux goes above, there's an arbitrage point where you can mint it and then sell it on the market and make a profit. So you can go to the Fux exchange, buy some prime Fux, or make some prime Fux, since it's an LP token, and then you could mint the prime 2Fux and then sell it on the market and hit an arbitrage point, which we actually want to happen as much as possible, because every time that happens, the protocol gains more. It's only one of the ways, but it is a good way. The protocol gains more permanent power that it can never lose, right?
Yep. Wow, that's really cool. So it's in basically safe hands once you've locked it up in there.
It's in permanent hands. It can never go away, right? So the protocol is always going to have that voting power, and it's always going to have that boosting power, and it just helps us grow. And it's only like, it also we have other ways that it snowballs, in that when people stake their prime 2Fux, which is why they want to get it usually, right? Because it's paying over 100% APR on single-sided staking, right? And we have a compounder option, where you can set it to auto compound, where it takes the yield and auto compounds it back into more prime 2Fux. And that actually, every time it compounds, it's buying prime. It's taking the yield in Fux tokens that it's receiving from the Fux exchange, and it's turning them into more prime 2Fux, and it's putting them back into that state. So then you have more, and every time that happens, the protocol gets more permanent voting power. Every single time the compounder goes, which it does twice a day, right? 2 times a day, it auto compounds, right? Which is fantastic. If you look at the math on compounding, like twice a day is a lot, right? More than that's almost redundant. It takes really every extra penny. And I think now that compounder is paying like 130, 140%. So we're very happy with that. It's some of the best single-sided staking on the PulseChain right now. And no lock. You're not locked at all. Whereas on the Fux exchange, you're locked for a year. When you get the prime 2Fux token, it's like a receipt token basically for the prime Fux you put in, and you can stake it to get the yield, but you can unstake it and sell it or do whatever you want, and you're never locked for any period of time. There's zero time lock on that product.
Yep. Wow. That's cool. A lot of game theory in there. So I know with the Fux thing, if you were to, in the beginning when Fux first came out and you were to lock up your tokens, probably soonish is when they'd start coming available. For some people, if they had a maximum, I think it's a maximum lock, isn't it? A year or something like that.
We're about the time where those are going to start unlocking right away.
Yeah. So if people were to pull that out of the Fux protocol, move it to 2Fux, would that then increase the yield on the Fux protocol if there's less in there? Or I'm just wondering what's going to happen there, and what people's moves might be.
Well, when 2Fux came out, there was there was some shouting from people who were in the Fux protocol, in the Prime Fux in particular, because their APRs went way down, right?
Yes, yeah.
And the if people move from Fux to 2Fux, it's not going to bring the APRs up on Fux, because all the yield is all that Prime Fux is still staked inside the Fux protocol.
Okay.
It's just via the 2Fux front end, so the number doesn't change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the real way to look at it is that Prime 2Fux is the new Fux token, basically.
Yes.
So if you're unstaking on Fux, you can convert or sell, whichever is better in the moment. And people doing big bucks, and some of those guys will be like, they wouldn't be able to. They might be a better deal to sell $2,000 or $5,000, but like once you start getting to $50,000, like no, you have to convert it, like because there's too much slippage. You won't get a 1-to-1 ratio on $50,000 worth of Prime Fux. But if they're unstaking $50,000 of Prime Fux, they convert it to Prime 2Fux. Now you have a single-sided staking token that pays you. You can use the compounder, or you can not use the compounder, and then you're getting paid in 2Fux. Fux tokens and Prime Fux, whereas on the Fux exchange you would have got Fux and Prime Fux as your yield, so you get just 3 tokens instead of 2, and you're getting more yield than you ever got on Fux probably, and you're not locked anymore. Or you can use it in yield farms, because we have it in some yield farms that are also paying really good. So there'll be multiple options there. So I think we'll see a lot of people make that move. If some people sell it down, that's great, because if we can get our hands on more Prime Fux and we can use it to make cheap Prime 2Fux, then that's also a good deal. Because if the price of if the price goes down there and there's an opportunity to get in for cheap, that's great. But what people need to understand is that with the Fux protocol, there's an emissions cliff where at a certain point, like the emissions came out very quickly in the first year, and they've already hit the cliff where they're down by 50%. So there's now 50% less PHUX tokens coming out on a daily basis, right? Okay. So of course the yields have gone down, like as far as APRs, but long term there's just so much less sell pressure, right?
Yes.
And we've seen this all on Ethereum, like, a couple different times now. So like what will happen is these tokens are already twice as rare. And, so people would be wise not to act too rashly with them, because they're twice as much of a commodity as they were 1 year ago, just by definition of how hard it is to get them. And 2Fux is set up to follow the Fux protocol as far as those emissions go. Right. So that whatever their emissions do, our emissions are following the same curve as them. And these are all built into the protocols. They're not, it's information that we could look at directly and see exactly where they are on that path. And then 2Fux is following that exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. So it sounds like, some people might think that it's sort of trying to take over Fux, or like a negative thing like competition for it, but it sounds like it's very complementary actually to the protocol.
Oh, for sure. I think and to be clear, and I usually bring this up earlier, but we're a separate team from the Fux team, right? Like,
yes,
we call them the PH team. Like, they made Fiat, which is fork of Aave, Famous with fork of GMX, and then they did Fux, which is a fork of Balancer. And so, those guys got a lot on their plate, right? And they're, we talked to them and told them what we were doing, right? And basically, had their support, though, not publicly as far as what happened, but their devs helped our devs make sure it was safe and that kind of stuff. And then in a very public fashion, like in their Telegram room, they basically told everybody this is what's happening. Buck sort of indicated that like 2Fux was kind of like the marketing wing of the Fux exchange, right? Like, we're the outreach. We're going to bring in the new people. And they made a deal with us publicly again, where we basically bought out the vast majority of their team tokens, which is what was initially on day one locked inside the 2Fux protocol, which is what most of what got us to that 70% of the voting power range. So we, in some ways, yeah, we've taken over a large chunk of it. But like the advantage is that there's almost no team dump-mental left in Fux whatsoever. Those tokens can never be sold, right? Ever. They're locked in a smart contract. And the Fux team is still very much participating and supporting. They're still running the exchange, right? And as far as 2Fux goes, we skipped about 3 years of warm-up period. Like the equivalent protocol on Ethereum, which is Aura Finance, it took them 3 years to get to where we are now as far as percentage of the balancer votes, right? So we literally, from that OTC deal that we set up with the Fux guys, we were able to skip 3 years and start with 70% voting power, in the first couple months. So, so there's definitely like been a handoff of power as far as like who controls the votes. And like Buck and Dylan and the Fux team guys, they understand that, like they know what happened, but like it's more of a cooperation thing than like a hostile takeover, right?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
We built a machine that permanently and every day buys their tokens and locks them so they can never be sold. Like, it's very much a happy thing to have that happen. And so we feel a lot of support from them, and we're not, there's no hostile takeover here. And there's definitely a teamwork thing going on.
That's great. That's really cool. I like it that you took the good approach, and you've got the support there in the way of even just the OTC deal was enough to show that it's a good manner and good support there. So, and
that OTC deal was facilitated by people who participated in what we called the Prime 2Fux pre-mint, in which they could pre-mint Prime 2Fux at up to a 30% discount. All those people are ahead according to today's numbers by far. And they also got a bunch of bonus airdrops of other stuff because we had sort of like some sponsorship from SolidX and Nope and Axis and some other big tokens in the community like chipped in to make that happen. So that's part of what happened as far as how we got that huge amount of Fux. And then that Prime 2Fux was all delivered. Like those people have all been airdropped, massive bags of Prime 2Fux, and they're making this huge APR. And even with that many people staking, they're still making over 100% APR, right, on a daily, on a yearly basis. So we're happy with it. But like the PH guys are great. Like they're in this for business, right? They're business guys. Like they're not in it for the nonsense. They're not in it to fight on Twitter, and that's great. I'll fight on Twitter. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm the marketing.
Throws them out every now and then.
So why not, right? But like we have that business backing because our product is built on top of their product. The truth is ours is about 6 times more complicated than a balancer fork, which we found out the hard way. But like they work together. The synergy between the two protocols is permanent, right? Like and locked in the code, right? Like forever now, those votes are controlled by us. So, it's just the way it is. And when I say us, I mean the holders of the 2Fux tokens proportionately. Like your control of the votes is proportionate exactly to the amount of 2Fux tokens you have locked. And that's it.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, thanks for putting in the hard work there. You've built an awesome protocol, and people should do some research and definitely check it out. And if you feel like that's it. And like you said earlier, if you're hoping to just wing it and sell the top of the bull run, you probably won't.
Good luck.
So it might be a good thing to have some put away in a protocol like that, but that'd be up to yourself and whatever you see fit. But check it out. Where do people find out more about you and your protocol?
I like people to just go to the website, and we have all the links off there to the Telegram room and to the Twitter, etc. So cool. It's 2phux.io. So it's 2fux.io. And from there, make it to our Telegram. That's probably the place where we spend the most time. I'm on Twitter and stuff, but I don't really hang out there. And the protocol is complicated enough that it's worth a discussion on Telegram. We have a lot of live chats and that kind of stuff. And if you have questions, you should ask them. Just because there's this is the high end of liquidity providing basically, and the high end of yield farming on multiple chains, right? So if you can figure this out, then you're set up to go to Polygon, to AVAX, to Ethereum, like to multiple chains and perform the same process. So we're happy to spend a little time educating people on that. And I've been actually surprised at how many people who come on, they're kind of plebs. They don't really know what's happening, but you're like, 1 hour, they pretty much can get it, or at least the part they need to get. Right.
Sure.
And we're happy to spend that time. So yeah, come to the Telegram room, ask some questions. We will not DM you. Only scammers will DM you.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's great. All right. Well, I put the site in the chat earlier.
Thank you.
And yeah, you can probably find Fast Abdul on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it. I know it's been a while in the making, but yeah, we love having you in the chat as well, stirring everyone up. That's good stuff. I thought I'd start asking a question to people we have on, and that is, I like Hex, and so 43 OG on there, he's on here, and he's a fan of staking Hex as well. What do you think about staking Hex these days? What's your opinion if you want to go on it?
Yeah, fair enough. I have staked a lot of Hex, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've sold almost all of it to the Icosa contract.
Yeah,
which means that it still is staked Hex somewhere, right? It's just not in my pocket.
Cool.
My main Hex interest now is in the Maximus DAO tokens.
Yep.
I'm pretty excited about those actually. So they have multiple tokens. They have and Maximus DAO tokens are basically tokens that represent Hex stakes, right?
Exactly.
So it's like either 15 years, 7 years, 10 years, 3 years, or 1 year Hex stakes represented by different tokens that are all in the Maximus DAO ecosystem. And the cool thing about them, so of course they're liquid. There's no staking option. They just represent the stake, and they're tied immutably in smart contracts to these stakes. And the founders are, fairly well reputed, but you can yield farm with them, right?
That's right.
I know a guy who's into that, and and you have these things paired together. So you have Hex paired with Hex paired with Hex, and you have 8 tokens in a balancer or a Fux pair. So you have Hex paired with Hex, 5 or 6 or 8 different ways. You're going to have almost no impermanent loss. Of course, if the price of Hex goes up, the price of a 15-year Hex stake also goes up or down together. So whatever you're getting for yield is just extra, right? So right now they have, I think there's 3 options on 2Fux. One with their Maxi and Team tokens paying 50-60%. There's one with basically all the PulseChain copies of, like everything from the Hex on the PulseChain, just plain Hex, to the 15-year stake and everything in between, or perpetuals pool. And there's one that is the tokens from Ethereum bridged over to PulseChain. So they're all the Maximus DAO tokens representing Hex stakes on Ethereum that have been bridged to PulseChain paired together. So there's actually quite a bit of value in that, probably more than there is on Ethereum with these tokens that are bridged over. And you can farm them, and whatever you get is, I think people should vote for those pools more because they're pretty awesome. But there's maybe $500,000+ locked in those pools of people who are making somewhere between 20 and 60% APR depending on which pool, and and it's all in Hex basically. So those are my favorite right now as far as Hex products go. But I'm an avid Icosa connoisseur. I'm interested in that project, and I want to see it make a bit of a comeback, and I think we will. And if Alex has a Icosa V2, which is something I've heard of, nothing I can confirm, but there's talk of that coming out and having part of it be some interoperability between Ethereum and PulseChain. Icosa is leverage on Hex, basically, right? In every sense of the word, as is Hedron, which is another part of the ecosystem. That's a complicated ecosystem. We won't get into that, but that's my other play that if those come back, I'd be pretty interested in that.
Definitely. Yep. I'm a fan of the Icosa. And as you said, the Maximus stuff, I like all of those tokens. So good. And the DESI, often at a discount.
Why?
Great T-share rate and stuff like that. It's a no-brainer if the liquidity is there or whatever to be able to make the trade. not lose out. So yep, I like all of them, and native hex staking as well. But yeah, no, thanks for answering that
Check
question.
out those liquidity pairs though, if you get a chance. Hey, like some of those Maximus DAO liquidity pairs on Fux and 2Fux are like, man, they're gold.
Yeah, yep, definitely. Yep. Yeah, there's some great LPs to be in. Yeah, we love it. All right. Thank you so much for coming on. We might wrap it up there. It's been 2.5 hours, and you've probably been on for good 45, almost an hour on that. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on. What time is it there?
It is just past 2 a.m.
Okay, so is it bedtime?
It should be.
Righto, you got some more code to write.
Well, I got some more beers to drink, but yeah, I should probably do that too.
Awesome. All right. Well, you enjoy that. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks to everyone in the chat, and to Dozer and 43 for being on here earlier, and for letting me run the stream today. So thanks again. Have a good night, everyone. See ya.